This episode of An Unexpected Podcast is brought to you by Ryan McKay. Thank you. Hello, friends, and welcome to An Unexpected Podcast. I'm Ez.
And I'm Lane.
And we're talking Tolkien.
We're coming to you from the Shire of America, the beautiful state of Ohio, in a little village called Amanda, and from the North Farthing in Gandalf's Pad.
This week, we're loosening our daggers, tightening our belts, and going on as we get to it. It being the dragon, of course, and using all our imaginable stealth to gain some inside information in Chapter 12. Sorry, that was short. I didn't want to. I still can't get it right, even when it's simple, even when it's straightforward. I didn't want.
I tried to set you up.
I didn't want to dragon this week. I mean, drag on.
Jeez,
wow,
dude.
What's my problem? Like, I mess up before I'm supposed to mess up. That's a double whammy.
I'm just trying to figure out, is this from that young lady who has been giving you like dad jokes or proper dad jokes that are Tolkien themed? Wasn't that something that was going on? Yeah. And now it's working its way into the prologue. It's
unreal.
I don't know. I mean, I guess it's fine. I guess it's okay.
Is that what people are saying out there? Is that we're dragging on? Are they saying that? Is that the thing now?
I think rambling on was okay. Closer to the belt, if you will, with the hilt and the sheath. Yeah, big episode this week. We are stoked. We can't wait to get into it. We are finally getting to. I mean, this is it. I know. This is the thief, like finally doing his task, meeting the worm. The worm meets the worm.
Mm-hmm.
I.e., I'm pointing to my shirt right now. Dennis Rodman of the group of the company meets an actual grown-up worm, which is Smaug the dragon. So worm squared is, as saw my outfit before, I may have gone a little bit overboard. It's good that you're only able to see my shirt, but
it's insane, guys.
I do have shorts on, but they're also bull-themed, and I feel like Dennis Rodman right now.
Dude,
the only thing I need is hair that is dyed like bright red with a bull shaved into the back. That's all I need.
Right. I honestly, guys, the attention to detail on this show, you have no idea. You have no idea. You should have seen this wardrobe beforehand. I mean, the shoes, the shorts, and the shirt match. So we're not messing around this episode.
There's a lot of layers that go into the process. But it's a big episode. It's gonna be awesome. We can't wait to get into it. There's so much to talk about. There's show news. There's extra goodies. There's the chapter itself. It's amazing. Before we get into all that, before we get into quick counsel, this episode is brought to you by Manscaped. As I need to know, have you mowed your lawn? Mm-hmm. And if so, how short did you cut the grass, if you know what I'm saying?
Here's the thing. The other day, I always post on Instagram, and I do my stories and stuff. And a lot of times it's mowing of grass, right? And I had people I had people replying, and they're like, literally, all you do is mow your grass. And I was like, are they talking about the Lawnmower 4.0 commercial we just did? Or are they talking about like the Instagram thing? And some people are now realizing it's both. I mean, I am just a guy who likes to mow the lawn. I enjoy it. I like a good trim. I think it feels good. It's nice. You know what it is. So
when the sun is up, you're mowing grass. When it's dark, you got that 4,000K LED spotlight mowing something else, right?
Dude, I
is that what's going on?
To me, like in the last thing, are we going to talk about this for 10 minutes? Because I'm probably down to like the Lawnmower 4.0 is my favorite commercial I've ever done because guys, it legit has like the lights, man. What kind of like it's like you are trimming in the old forest. It's as if they knew we would need this. Now, a connection to this chapter. Okay, so we'll talk about the multifunctional on-off switch, the travel lock, the lights, all this stuff, the closeness, the different guard lengths, sizes 1 through 4. They got it all listed here, man. The 4.0 it launched on May 5th. It's amazing. It's awesome. You guys should check it out. keep everything trimmed up. But let me tell you something, Lane. I was thinking about this chapter, and I literally kid you not, Manscaped like crept into my mind, and I'm not even making this up. I'm listening, and Bilbo, it's like he's looking at the underbelly of Smaug, going, you know what? You know what? I think this guy needs the lawnmower. He needs the lawnmower 4.0. He's nicking himself. He nicked himself. I don't know what Smaug is using, but like he needs something better. This thing has. So I brought up the guard protection because it has again, 1 through 4 size guard length. You got to protect yourself, or you're going to nick your. Smaug's dead because of whatever manscaping device he was using, trimmer.
Just imagine if he would have been using the precious gemstones guard. He would have been totally fine. That scale would still be in place.
Right.
No weakness. No weakness whatsoever.
Yeah. Because that's the thing. Like, it's one thing to get close, but you got to do it like, you got to be careful, man. I mean, so yes, the hedge is well trimmed. Everything is still safely intact. So I did not pull a Smaug. I went with the lawnmower 4.0, friends, and you should too. So
there's also some kind of special promo code too, right? That our friends can use for Manscaped. So whether you're a man looking to scape or a woman looking to have your manscaped, right?
Right. Yes.
This is not just for the lads. And I mean, you know what? Women could use this too if they wanted. Or they could buy it for the special man in their life. And through Fansided, we have a special promo code. Tell them more about it, Ez.
Well, the thing is here, now you need this promo code if you're someone like Thorne and Company who have yet to acquire the treasure that Smaug is guarding, okay? So this is, again, pre-gold, acquiring treasure here situation. So we have Fansided20. Just go to www.manscaped.com. Any order, go in there when you're checking out. Type in Fansided20. You get 20% off and free shipping.
Free shipping. You can't beat that. That's like barrel riding delivery right there.
Barrel riding. Here we go.
Beautiful. Awesome. So again, just so amped to be a part of the Fansided podcasting group family. It's so cool. Talking to Carrie and Patrick. Almost, it feels like every other day we're in communication with them. They have such cool plans for the Fansided podcast umbrella, and it's just awesome to be a part of it. Who knows what opportunities will come our way because of it. Dude, Patrick, I think I was telling you this. Patrick reminds me of like Michael J. Fox meets somebody else. There's someone else I can't quite put my finger on, but he is so Michael J. Foxy to me. I'm like, dude, are we back in the future? I don't know. What's going on?
That's huge for you. That's a big compliment from Lane right there, because you love...
My first hero, yes, is Marty McFly, Michael J. Fox. So anyway, awesome, really cool things. How are you, my friend? How are you doing? What's life been like?
I mean, friends know this. We said it last episode. Things are changing for the Flannel Wizard, and I'm going to be on the move here. By the way, I'm really happy to hear things are getting better. I know that the pandemic still kind of, people are. I feel like we're going to be dealing with a lot of this for quite some time. But I think when good news comes around, you ought to talk about it. If things are getting better, that's what we want. We all want that, and we've been talking at school. About the restrictions kind of rolling back and the numbers going down and things like that. So I am pumped for that because I want to get out this summer. I would love to be able to travel a bit more. I'd love to come down and see you more often and things like that. So I'm encouraged because of all of that. I'm encouraged because I'm on this new path. I've stepped out my door, and Oez is just kind of seeing where the road takes him right now. Which is great, man. I love it.
It's awesome.
And I am also, you brought up Fansided and that whole opportunity. I am really, really pumped and excited for this podcast and just sort of where we're going to, where we're headed in the show and everything else that's coming out. And this chapter, I'm fired up about this chapter. I've been telling you, man. I don't know. I feel like this renewed, energy or whatever. Interestingly, and I'm not going to say it was clear back at the beginning of 2020, but I remember at the beginning of 2020 when we said, man, we got this new fire. We had this fire, and it took a pandemic Oh God, I mean, wow. But the fire's back, baby.
How life works. The fire's back, man. The secret fire is hard to put out, and it's I don't know. Sometimes I don't know. Like it was we had a bunch of adjustments too, didn't we? The everything with the pandemic hit, and like we were dealing with a lot of just like personal things too, and even just like not going to school to teach was weird, and then coming back to school to teach in a different way. Like I've been online all year, and it's been something like I told Sarah, this is terrible. I told Sarah, we've got 10 days of school left. And I told her today, I was like, if someone made the magical offer, a wizard comes to me and says, I can fast forward your life 2 weeks. You'll be done with work, but you won't remember anything that happens in your personal life. I don't think I'd say, let's go. But I'd have to think about it. Like that's how ready I am to be just done with this school year. I want to move on. I want to go back to a much more normal setup next year from what I've had this last year. Like I want kids in my classroom. I don't want to Zoom teach anymore. I'm over it. I'm so it has taken a creative toll, I think, even and just I feel burnt out on having to teach remotely. So I feel you on that. I'm glad that stuff's starting to roll back a little bit. We're getting back to somewhat normalcy. That maybe we're not going to have to wear masks in certain situations if we've been vaccinated. That sounds awesome. Like I was pumped to hear that Governor DeWine here in Ohio talking about full stadiums for games, get to go see the Browns play this year would be amazing. So like, and this is someone who's a homebody, right? Like a true Hobbit, man. And the thought of being able to go out and do things again is very liberating. Just having the choice, I think. I don't know that I will do more stuff or go out and do more things, but just the fact that other people who need it makes me feel better. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And like just the fact that it's a possibility that we could go and do things that we could like today. This was the most out of the ordinary thing we've done. Like we've been doing click list for grocery shopping. Like the girls go to mom and dad's, they come home with us. We don't go out and do anything. We haven't. Today after school, we went to a greenhouse, and the girls were psyched, man. You would have thought we were at Disney World or something. Like they're like, I could not keep up with Winnie. Winnie was holding my hand. Charlotte was holding Sarah's hand, and Winnie is like pulling me through the aisles of this greenhouse. Just let's go here, Daddy. Let's go over here. Ooh, look at the pink flowers, Daddy. Just all over, like And I just thought to myself, I was like, I told them as we're leaving, I said, girls, we're going to do so much more of this. Like this is because they're still really, that's the other thing too. They're really hesitant around people they've never known. Like we were trying to say, trying to get them to tell the cashier woman, thank you, and they wouldn't say anything. They're just like, they don't like in social situations. It's like, I don't know you. I'm not going to say anything. And so they're just not used to it. So getting them used to that again will be nice. Yeah. But stuff back to normal is going to be great. You said you're doing some traveling. Like what's going on? You going anywhere soon?
Well,
what do you have planned?
I don't know. It's, I might have to leave the flannel cloak behind for a little bit. It gets a little warm down in Costa Rica, but I don't know. Can you imagine me out there on the Dominical beach, just out there in Costa Rica with a flannel cloak,
just ripping the cloak off and
they're
see the handiwork of my manscaping.
Wow, here we go. I mean, they're calling the local officials in on this guy. We got a stranger out here on the beach. In a flannel cloak. He keeps disappearing and reappearing.
He's so shiny. His skin is so radiant. It's so white and milky. He needs to tan. You got to get this man tanned.
Also, he's sweating profusely. He is this man looks like he hasn't stepped a foot in the ocean, but it looks like he's been out there all day. That's crazy. So
soaking wet.
I do have some fun surprises. By the way, I don't know. We often, I have a love-hate relationship with social media. But if you want to follow some secret updates, I'm going to be taking over a couple of my different podcasting, accounts, and then my personal, account there. And it's a nice way to vlog. I enjoy just posting a still image, going back and forth with Lane on who's got a better lawn mowing, soundtrack.
I heard your retort to Mad Season by Matchbox 20, and I was like, I mean,
it was weak.
It
was weak sauce.
It was weak sauce, bro. It was like I was throwing fastballs, and you came in with a knuckler, and it didn't even stay in the strike zone. It wasn't like a good knuckler that's like, oh, I'm gonna swing at that and whiff. It was like in the dugout by the time it crossed the plate. You know what I mean?
That was like a guy saying, I've never thrown a knuckleball, so they won't see it coming. But like,
here goes
you
nothing.
Don't actually know how to throw a knuckleball, so you give it a go. It's here we go. Seventh inning.
I'm going to try it out. First time on the mound, seventh inning. I'm going to try it out.
Bases loaded. This is not going to
my gosh, dude.
hit the dirt. I promise.
Oh,
Holy smokes. Yeah, anyways. But no, go check that out because, I am traveling and I do have some fun plans. I know this is not related to Lord of the Rings, but, I mean, speaking of encouraging news, I'm a big fan of Star Wars. I love my podcast Hyperspace Hangout.
Yes.
So I do that. Little project there with Matt. And Star Wars Celebration has moved up. It is no longer like it was going to be August 2022. Yeah. They moved it up to May, right around May, which
May the 4th?
Tells me just after. It's just after. Okay. It's at the end of May.
Well, that's cool.
It tells me there's something exciting coming in Star Wars, and I'm pumped for it. So.
Ooh. What do you think it is? Do you have any theories on what it might be?
Oh,
New film?
I know.
There's a bunch of.
Yeah, I know for a fact they're going to be, the things that they'll promote, like the Mandalorian, the Book of Boba Fett, the Ahsoka series. They have all their TV shows to promote, but it wouldn't surprise me if their next big blockbuster kind of movie hit, if they showed us a teaser of something like the old, like a trilogy for the Old Republic or something.
What?
It wouldn't surprise me if they did something like that. Yeah, because I thought, what's the reasoning? Is it just for the TV shows? That's fine. There's plenty there. There's a good reason to bump it up if you can to promote those shows.
Yeah.
But what else? HBO Max is dropping a lot of movies. They're kind of saying like, it's in theaters, but if you don't want to go to the theater, come in here, pay a little, sign up for the HBO Max, and boom, you can sit in your house and watch it. It's great.
Sorry, this is a funny aside. I was talking to one of my students in the hallway, a student who was in my class and then came to school, so he's in another class. But every time I see him, I say, hey, what's up, man? He had a Godzilla shirt on. It was sick, and I asked him about it. And he asked me if I'd seen Godzilla versus Kong, right?
Yeah.
I was like, nah. I was like, I miss it. He was like, yeah, you can't find it anywhere, man. It's not even on Hobo Max anymore. I was like, Hobo Max? I said, yeah. HBO Max. I think it's like one of those things. As a kid, he probably really thinks it's Hobo Max.
Sure, he does.
Not HBO. Like, because what does HBO mean? Home box office. Kids don't know that. It's Hobo Max. So
right.
Yeah.
Honestly,
that's exciting.
Yeah, it kind of fits.
Hobo Max sound. It does. Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. So is the bad guy in that? Is that Revan in that Star Wars?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Kind of that. Yeah. You're right. Yeah. Darth Revan and Darth.
Who would
Malak.
play Darth Revan?
Good God. That's a great question. I have no clue. I'm not.
Keanu Reeves.
Well, there's a bunch of artwork out there.
Yep.
Yes, there's a bunch of that, which would be really, really, really awesome. Did you know like there's a Matrix? The Matrix 4 is actually. Yes. I think it's a thing.
Yes, it's a thing.
We all need to go see that movie when it comes out because
dude.
I'm a huge Matrix guy.
I'm a huge Matrix fan.
I took both the red and the blue pill at once, and it was.
I took the purple pill. It turned purple inside me.
This guy.
I saw both worlds at the same time.
Same time I was saying it.
I was tripping Neo. You know what I'm saying? Tripping over my Neos. Oh man.
Anyway. All right.
Yeah. Life is good. Life is great. I just have one thing I want to encourage people, okay? Find yourself a man or a woman, whoever you're looking for, that does this kind of stuff for you. I'm setting up. This is late at night, obviously. Go out and work out after the girls are asleep. Come back in, set up. Sarah's upstairs getting ready to go to bed, and I found a little note. Lane, I love you, and you give me hope. Thanks for being with us and for us. We are lucky ladies. Love, Sarah. Find someone who loves you like that. If you can find someone who loves you like that, man,
yeah,
nothing's impossible. Nothing will stand in your way, and
let's go.
It's I don't know. The world is yours. The world is yours. So anyway, huge shout out to my beautiful wife.
God, I love that.
She's amazing, man. She's amazing. It's without her. We've always said it. Without her, this podcast would not be possible. Would not.
We brought that up a couple weeks ago. I reiterate it when I'm like, man, dude, it's I love her and your family, and she's wonderful. Yeah. And let's just say, I'm gonna take that advice you just gave right there to heart, my friend.
I think you already have.
I think I have to. So,
all right. The spoiler alert. Okay. Let's get into some dropping eaves. There is a lot to talk about. Not necessarily like leaks and spoilers or anything, but just a big announcement that just happened. Having a Charlotte on board is never a bad thing. Mm-hmm. I know that because we have a Charlotte in our lives. You know,
yeah.
I don't know. Is there another hidden reference there? Maybe.
Right.
But Loader on Prime has a Charlotte, my friend. Okay? Yeah. When was this? 14 hours ago, as of when we're recording. Mm-hmm. Welcome. This is Loader on Prime's official Instagram account. Welcome, Charlotte Bronstrom, to our Middle-earth family. All right? So, Charlotte Bronstrom is... Bronstrom. I'm not my German is not very good, so I'm doing my best. But Charlotte is going to be directing 2 episodes of Loader on Prime, in addition to J.A. Bayona, and in addition to Wayne Che Yip. Okay, mm-hmm. So there's this picture that accompanies this message. Obviously, definitely on location. Definitely in the mountains. Now, what part of New Zealand is this in? I couldn't tell you. No idea. It looks remote AF, but that doesn't mean anything. We know that they're using ARRI rental because she's wearing a hat. Mm-hmm. Have I tried to zoom in on her sunglasses to see what is being reflected?
Yes,
I have. Can't make anything out. Is there a wizard? Is that a hobbit? I don't know how that's possible. Maybe. Go check it out for yourself. There was an article released in Variety that accompanies this announcement as well. So she signed on to... I'm just going to read bits and pieces of this. Yeah. She signed on to direct 2 episodes, which, you know, they're pointing out here that they've created an impressive international creative team, you know, citing J.A. Bayona. And also the British-Chinese director, Wayne Che Yip. We're going to talk about him in a second because I realized, too, that we got so caught up in that photograph and just hearing from Jimmy down in New Zealand that we forgot to really even talk about Wayne at all. So I wanted to bring him up. There was a press release on his directorialship as well. This is a quote from Charlotte. She said, "I'm very excited to be guided through Middle-earth by JD's and Patrick's vision and immerse myself in the iconic world of J.R.R. Tolkien. It's a great privilege to be in New Zealand to work with Amazon Studios' outstanding ensemble of creative talents. There are countless things still to see in Middle-earth and great works to do," which is, of course, her quoting Gimli, which is awesome to hear.
Wow.
So she is a Swedish-French director and has a plethora of credits for over 30 feature films. So maybe her last name is Swedish. I don't know. Miniseries and episodes. So she's worked on Grey's Anatomy, The Man in the High Castle, Outlander, and The Witcher. She also directed 2 episodes of Netflix's latest superhero series, Jupiter's Legacy. Have you seen that at all?
No, I haven't. I've heard about it.
It's in their top 10. I haven't seen it. In addition, Bronstrom is an International Emmy Award nominee for Julie Chevalier de Maupin with Sarah Biasny in the titular role. Okay.
The Witcher, my friend. Yeah. I think The Witcher is one folks might know.
Yep.
Yeah.
So really popular, really relevant shows. There's again just a little synopsis of JD Payne and Patrick McKay, the showrunners, and just all of these individuals who are involved. The fact that J.A. Bayona is an executive producer. I didn't know this, that Yip is also a co-executive producer. Okay.
Okay.
It makes me think like her I don't know. Does The Witcher? So we've, intimacy coordinator. Will there be nudity in Middle Earth?
Mm-hmm.
What's it going to look like? Outlander definitely has it.
Yep.
The Witcher, is there nudity and sexual content in The Witcher?
Yep. Yeah, there is a little bit. It's not real explicit, but
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, actually, yeah, it is. Sorry.
Okay. Well, I mean, it's standards are so different today from what
what's explicit anymore.
Even like from when Lord of the Rings came out in films. So here's all I'm going to say. I just think everyone needs to prepare themselves for it. Like, everyone needs to expect there to be, like, there probably will be nudity, and there obviously, if there, we've talked about this whole time, intimacy coordinator, there will probably be, we're probably going to have to watch this before we let our kids watch it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, sure. That's why paying attention to the reviews and checking into it, looking at the rating. I mean, once more information comes out, I'm sure we'll kind of know. But yeah, for sure, for violence and for nudity or whatever it might be. Yeah, you gotta keep an eye out for that.
I mean, those little elves had to come from somewhere. You know what I mean? Like the Numenorians, they had to be produced somehow. So anyway, that's all I'm saying about that. But it's just interesting to see like what these other creative leaders have worked on. Is that some sort of hint at maybe some of the content we might see, or a validation of what we've learned so far, that this show, I'm not making a judgment, I'm just saying it might involve or contain some of that type of content. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Okay.
Yes. Yep.
So anyway, the cast is very excited about this announcement. We have Sophia Namvit, who is one of the actresses. She was from that first crop of actresses announced and actors announced. Nazanin Boniadi has also made a post and has put in her story about Charlotte. They just have great things to say. Sophia said, "Well, what can I say about the incredible Charlotte? Quite simply, she is amazing. She's a formidable force, a Trojan, a Titan, an absolute juggernaut of a director, and furthermore, she's a woman and a mother. She's nothing short of a creative genius, and in only a short space of time has become a dear, lifelong friend. I am beyond honored, grateful, and excited to have her on the show. Welcome to the family, my lovely Charlotte Brownstrom." There's also a hashtag Loader on Prime Family, if you want to go check that out. So they're
That's
hashtagging
cool.
some of their posts and adventures there. Nazanin said, "Delighted to welcome my friend Charlotte Brownstrom to the Loader on Prime family. I had the privilege of being directed by her in Counterpart, so I've seen her immense talent in action already and have been eagerly awaiting her arrival. I can't think of anyone better to break ground as the first woman to ever helm Tolkien. From Germany to New Zealand, I hope this is the second of many adventures we go on together." Hashtag Loader on Prime. And then her story, she just said, the first woman to ever direct Tolkien. Please welcome Charlotte Brownstrom. So, that's another huge aspect. Like, Middle Earth has never had a female helm, direct an episode, a movie, anything. So, groundbreaking, and very exciting.
Can I say, so is this like the... I mean, are they doing this now? Like, when they're posting this to their social media, Loader on Prime, is this something that's passed and everyone's just been holding back on this, and now that it's out there, now we can talk about it as if it's happening? Or did she just arrive? I'm just thinking about production and where everything's at.
Yeah.
It's so under wraps that it's like...
I know. Well,
it seems like she just got there. I mean, but the way they're talking about it,
does seem like she just got there. But she's also, the photo that they released with that announcement is her on set directing. I mean, it looks like, unless this is from a totally different project, but I don't think it is because that looks like New Zealand in the background. Yep. The fact that they're not, I mean, we could look up ARRI rental, but that sounds like something that is in New Zealand. And those mountains in the background, I mean, it looks like somewhere on the South Island or, something. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think in my mind, I think that's a great point. Like maybe she has already directed a little bit and they're just now able to make that announcement.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's so hard to decipher, dude, isn't it?
Right.
Because obviously, if that's a picture from production, then she's directed something so far.
Yeah,
they've been in action. Yeah,
and you know that Bayona was out there. They talked about the first 2 episodes, then that grew a bit, and then Wayne Yip is out there doing some stuff as well, and then now we have someone else. So it doesn't seem like they're. It actually seems like as it's happening, they're letting people know. I could be wrong.
That's kind of the vibe, isn't it? Yeah.
Because I think that feels better. I like that feeling more. You know, it's like it kind of increases the excitement versus like, oh, this is all photos or we're just announcing this from past kind of over the past year. This is what happened, you know?
I also like it too because they're, in a sense, they're like, they've been able to stay so under wraps, but in this way, they're also like taking control of, because this was announced by them. It wasn't leaked by anybody. The onering.net, oneclickbait.net didn't like, spy this out or leak this out or get a spy. Actually, I have a funny story about them. I read an article of them like taking pictures of stuff and having supposedly a spy. But then like at the end of the article, they're like, if anyone in New Zealand knows what we're looking at or is familiar with the area, please contact us. Let us know. Are there any landmarks? Is there anything that could give it away as a part of Numenor or as a part of, what's it, like Mythlond or whatever? I was like, oh my gosh, they have no idea. It's driving them nuts. Mm-hmm. So big news. Charlotte Braunstrom is directing, big time, first female director in Middle Earth. All right. So another one that we need to get into is our second director that we know of, Michael Che Yip. So he's a British-Chinese director. He's joined the creative team as a director and a co-executive producer. They're really highlighting the fact that this is an international team of directors, which is really cool. Different perspectives. It's awesome. Okay, so this is crazy. Didn't know this, bro. Little connection here. He's also directed episodes in the Wheel of Time series.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know that. That's cool.
And he's also worked with Jordan Peele on Jordan Peele's Monkey Paw Productions, directing episodes of Hunters, which stars Al Pacino. So, working with legends. He's also, let's see, his prior credits include the first Doctor Who New Year's special, multiple episodes of Preacher for Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg at AMC, and Happy featuring Chris Maloney and a flying unicorn. Early in his career in the UK, Wayne directed on multiple premium cable and broadcast shows as part of a directing team with Alex Garcia Lopez, working on titles such as Utopia, Misfits, and Secret Diary of a Call Girl for HBO. So as part of this release, he made a statement. It is a true honor to be invited into the world of Tolkien by JD and Patrick and Amazon Studios. Every day I look forward to working with the incredible team here in New Zealand as we humbly contribute to the legacy of the greatest stories ever told. Wow. Mm-hmm. Just hearing hearing Charlotte make a reference to Gimli, right? That there's so much still to be explored. Hearing Wayne talk about humbly contributing to the legacy of the greatest stories ever told. JD and Patrick from the very beginning, referencing Tolkien, remarking how they feel like just humble hobbits given a monumental task. Like this humility and the way that they're coming into this project, all of these creators, realizing that this is a big deal, right? Is so like settling for me. It is so calming. It makes me feel like this is just seriously in the right hands.
Yeah.
It's in the right hands.
No, I'm with you, because it is nice to hear them talk about one another, to talk about family, and to get that same vibe and feel that when you talk to Shane and when you talk to Tammy and
yes, man.
when we've had a chance to talk to Billy Boyd, for example,
Billy Boyd.
It's really cool to hear them talk about the experience and the vibe and the feels and the appreciation they have for Tolkien stories and the great storytelling that he gave to us. So it's encouraging. It's highly encouraging.
Yeah, big time. Big time. So that's all really awesome. Those are the two. I mean, I guess the announcement about Charlotte is the biggest. At this point when we're recording, it's kind of brand new. It happened like today or last night, maybe even. And then talking about Wayne as a director is another big thing that has happened pretty recently within the last couple of months. So our upper friend Chris Fizzett actually sent us an article too from the Daily Wire. I didn't even know this was a thing, but I guess a lot of people were like upset, confused by, like kind of contesting the fact that Amazon spent as much as it did on this first season. And so like Jennifer Salk had to come out and kind of defend why they spent so much, which seems kind of stupid to me. I don't understand like who these people are who are like, I can't believe Amazon is spending so much on a show that's going to be amazing and that we really care about. Maybe they're people who don't want Lord of the Rings shows. I don't know. But like to me, it's like, give them more. Give them all the money they need. I think that the comparison was talking about how like Peter Jackson's original trilogy was only 200 some million. Why is it double that for one season? Okay, whatever. It was an interesting article. It pretty much is just like Jennifer Salk, who we talked about way at the beginning of all this, as an Amazon exec, working with TV show development and movies and stuff, their media side, the process of acquiring the rights. And she even said in here, she's like, part of that figure is what we spent on the rights to even do the shows and bidding, and it was a big amount. And how they were like, this is something that is going to demand such a large audience because of the topic, because it's Lord of the Rings. Like this is going to be an appointment that millions, billions of people aren't going to want to miss. And so we have to deliver on that. And I think she even said like the figure for just the rights alone, and we had talked about this previously, but I had forgotten. It was like $250 million. So half of that first season budget, just chuck it out as just them being able to do this show in the first place. So I don't really understand what people's gripe is, or like why it's being called into question. And she even said, I think she even compared it to like Knives Out is getting a couple sequel films from Netflix, and it's around the same figure, if not more. And so
it is.
So a franchise that is relatively new, like a couple years old, right? It's nothing compared to. It's not in the same category as the Lord of the Rings, right? And it's costing the same amount. So, I just thought it was interesting. Yeah.
Her other point, and I really like that she came out and said this, and I think people who just read a headline and then go out and tweet or just kind of go off the rails about like this budget don't look at the details. One, this show is going to support artists for years to come. Like creators, people, a whole crew of people are going to get in on this.
It's a huge team too.
It's a huge team, and she said like, and I think that's an awesome thing. It brings these great stories to life, and it's awesome, and it motivates. Look at our Tolkien stories that come in every week, where people were motivated and inspired by Lord of the Rings to then go back and read the book series. It does so much good, and there's so much negativity in the world that I say spend as much as you want on this to amplify something positive and to get good creators out there. Now, the other thing she said is that this is kind of this is the setup for the series. It's sustainability, right? So like we're not just setting this up for, that's not just season one. This thing has to be at a certain level to propel its success through 4 to 5 seasons or whatever it might be. You know, you're like, oh, okay. So
yeah, that's a great point. Almost kind of like startup costs in a way. Like you got to get certain things in place that once they're in place, they're not going to cost, additional in future seasons or anything like that. So so that's all the news up to this point. Tomorrow I bet something will break and we'll talk about it next time. I did want to bring up this point, man. I had this thought. I was like, Lord of the Rings, it's all about this focus on this on these man, I'm having a hard time talking today. On these underdog characters, the hobbits, right? Underdog race. The Hobbit is the same way. This chapter especially that comes into light how even after all, we talked about this last chapter too, even after all the things that Bilbo has gotten us through, he's still questioned, he's still blamed, just like Dennis Rodman himself. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I thought to myself, I was like, how much of maybe some of the trepidation that we're facing going into the show is because we know and/or are assuming that there will be, and also too, like when we get uncomfortable with all these wizards and elves and like dark lords and stuff, there's always the hobbits to make us feel like, okay, you know what I mean? Like the Hobbit characters, whether it's Sean Astin, whether it's Elijah Wood, whether it's Martin Freeman, they comfort us like nothing else, and they kind of help us. And a lot of like what Tom Shippey was talking about, that whole they help bring us into the world because they're kind of part of our frame of reference. They're still, even though they're based on Tolkien's world from or the world as Tolkien knew it almost 150 years ago, they're still enough. They're still they're closer to us than they were to the the time of mythology. So how much of that do you think that is like subconsciously something people are dealing with? Like we're going into new territory and we don't even have our safety blanket. We don't have our hobbits to look forward to fall back on, to feel comforted by. Do you think that's legit? Do you think that's ridiculous?
Wow. I never really thought, because that is like the lens at which you go on this journey. Eventually you get to a point where, you're with Legolas and you're with Aragorn and Gimli and so on and stuff. And you're really, you get some of their perspective, but really it's the hobbits are always there. And you feel kind of, they're like, they're the heart. They feel like us, like Bilbo in this, for example, when he has thoughts of home, it's real. Like we get more of his, and part of it is just
to that.
Part of it is just what the author decided to do, which was to say, this is the person I want to connect you to. Like in this very chapter, he's going to say, this is just how dwarves are. They're not really heroes. In general, for the most part, they're not. But Bilbo's also just this ordinary guy, and maybe this is just an ordinary story that happened a long time ago. So like it's. But also, there's tons of lessons just embedded in there. But it feels natural, and it feels kind of like feels real. I mean, it feels So I get you. Is that something that? How will we make that connection in this new series?
Yeah, will there be a Hobbit? Like a new, I don't know. It'll be interesting. Will there be something that takes that role of what hobbits have been for us? I just wonder. I wonder if that's partially why people are so nervous, because it is going to be so different. Like we've never seen anything like that before,
right?
In any of these,
I think the second, the follow up, like once we get to know Strider, and then we know Aragorn, and then we get into all right, Boromir at the end. Well, actually. I mean, that's devastating. Then we learn about Faramir. We start to learn about men, and I think men and women might be the place where we're going to have to get. I feel like they have to keep the elves the way, distant and kind of, I don't know.
Not too relatable. They can't be too relatable.
Yeah.
Freak us out.
Yeah, that would be freaky. That would be a little freaky. And that's a cool thing. And then you've got your dwarves if they're gonna, depending on how much of that they're gonna incorporate in, and Anatar, the whole thing. I mean, so it's got to be men. It has to be Numenorians that we have to get close to or something. I don't know. That's a really good point. I never thought about that.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right. That's all the show news we got. In other corners of Middle Earth, man, there's so much good stuff to go check out. As always, go check out and get yourself some Dr. Bean coffee. Go to drbeancoffeecompany.com and get some of your very own. It's the only brew or steep for the brave and true. It's a wonderful company. They make amazing coffee. There's all kinds of new products. I think that they're even producing now. I feel like I was on their site the other day, and there's some new blends that are coming out, some new roasts. Go check it out. Get yourself some. It's fantastic coffee. It also, is our dear friend Charlotte's, baby and company that she heads up with her good friend. So go check them out. Some new scents coming out, my friend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Firelight Fables Candle Company has some brand new scents coming out. They just came in today. I didn't even tell you this.
Okay.
A mythical creature mini bundle. Go check out Casey's Candles. The promo code is still going. Fire it up. One word gets you 10% off of your order. So we busted these out. Got them in the mail today, actually. Opened them up. Came home. Sarah meant to light, I think, the mermaid one, but unknowingly and accidentally, she lit the golden drake, which kind of freaked me out because I was like, Sarah, did you know we're reading about Smaug?
Oh my gosh.
Did you realize
did she
that?
really?
She was like,
Seriously?
I didn't even mean to light that one. Life imitating art. So there's 4 new scents. There's the mythical mare. There's M-A-R-E, not M-A-Y-O-R. There's the merfolk maiden. There's the phoenix fire. There's the golden drake. I'm not going to explain the scents to you. All I'm going to tell you is I opened each one and went, yeah. We don't, legit, really? We don't buy candles from anybody else.
Yeah.
And you know how much we love candles. They're just amazing. And Casey is a wonderful person, and she has a great business, and so it just helps. And man, the packaging, the time she puts into packaging those candles and shipping them out to you, the sides of her boxes, even she takes time to stamp in. There's a Tolkien quote about dragons on the side of the box. She even sent in.
Let's go.
This is just nuts. She sends in these extra things.
Look at
There's
that.
This little dude. This is dragon lore. I want to read this before the episode or after the episode, or the reread portion. Dragon lore, which again is just perfect. And this was rolled up and wrapped around with a little piece of twine and a little key hanging on the edge of it.
Seriously?
Yeah, dude.
I always wondered what happened to the key.
It's crazy. And then she'll send cards. Yeah, what happened to the key? And then she sends cards, right? She has branded cards. I'm going to read it on the air, okay? Just to show you why you should be buying stuff. Why you should be buying candles from Casey. Lane and Ez, I can't wait for you to try all these new scents inspired by mythical creatures. I hope you love them. I already do. I've only burned one. And threw in an extra Middle-earth scent in case you are running out. Enjoy, and as always, happy adventuring. They're amazing. They're also obviously eco-friendly. They're made with a lot of them are apricot wax and soy wicks and from sustainable resources and everything. So go check it out. You got a promo code for crying out loud too. 10% off. That's no joke. Fire it up. Also, go check out Isaac, the Lord of Maps. He's releasing these mini state stickers, which are fantastic. He's also has these 6 shirts that he's released. I really want to get one. I think that he has one that's like a turtle or something. It's all done in the style of Tolkien's maps and his drawings. They're amazing. Go check him out. Lord_of_Maps on Instagram. You can get to all of his deal there, his website and all that stuff, and buy from him.
Wow, dude! I just saw the maps, man. Holy, or the not just the maps, the shirts. Excuse me.
Oh yeah, aren't they sick?
Wow, dude, let's go.
Yeah, he's amazing, man. It's just amazing how you find these people find you. You find them when you do something like this. It's crazy. There's so many creative people out there. And then just looking ahead to our upcoming episodes. Really excited to record next episode with the one and only Kurt Jones. It's going to be this is the first time we've recorded with someone since Dave Fogel.
Yeah.
Dave Fogel around Thanksgiving time.
Yep.
Our buddy Dave is the last time we recorded. Recorded with our good friend Matt Brady before that. And so we haven't had as many collaborations. And so this will be awesome to be able to catch up with Kurt. We haven't seen him in over a year. Really looking forward to that. It's going to be amazing. We have some other people who will be joining us in the future. That'll be awesome. And you won't just be hearing, me and Ez's voice, but a third voice as well. And we're looking forward to that. So
you'll still be hearing us drag on. But what? Fakest laugh I've heard. But I'm excited. You'll hear us drag on with Kurt Jones, and that'll be,
and maybe he can, defeat the dragon and make it, drag off.
Watch him show up with his lawnmower 4.0.
Can you imagine, dude? I wanted to ask him. Like if we do a commercial with him, ask him if like the Manscaped lawnmower can help with his low T. Remember how we talked about that last time we saw him? We joked around about low T.
Yeah. Cheesy cow. All
right, man. We're into the meat and the potatoes. The reread, my friend. Chapter 12.
Chapter 12. Yeah. Inside information.
Sorry. Real quick.
Yeah,
I
go ahead.
My copy. Get out my copy real quick here. This is what we're reading, right?
What's
is this
that?
What we're reading?
Wow.
This is what we're doing here.
Phil Jackson. Okay.
Sacred Hoops. Isn't this what the book we're reviewing?
Sacred Hoops.
Are we rereading this?
That's interesting. So like a sacred hoop as in like a ring.
A ring.
I see.
I have to give a huge shout out. So Matt Branagh messaged us on Facebook. He really loved all of the Phil Jackson, Dennis Rodman, analogies, comparisons we made. He really related to it. He says he agrees that Phil Jackson is Gandalf. He also wanted to recommend 11 Rings by Phil Jackson, which is a book. It's so weird. Right before he messaged us, I had decided to go with Sacred Hoops first because I remember this coming out in the 90s and being a kid and not really caring, but now being obsessed with Phil Jackson. And I was like, the next one I'll get is 11 Rings. And I told him, I was like, dude, it's kind of scary how close 11 Rings is to Elven Rings. So maybe we'll have some sort of Phil Jackson Lord of the Rings shirt coming out that will be available on our TeePublic. You'll just have to wait and see. I don't know. Maybe I'm working on something.
God.
So huge shout out to Matt. Matt, thank you for getting a hold of us. And I'm glad at least one person, has enjoyed the Bulls Dynasty references.
Yeah, for those of you that forgot, I think we made a reference that Bilbo is the Dennis Rodman kind of, right? And that connection was so ridiculous. It was
so real, though, man. It's so real.
Well, what I did not foresee, and this is just the way things. This is the way things go.
Yeah.
There's so many references to the worm in this chapter. Guys, we didn't plan that. No. I didn't know. I wasn't thinking about the worm references in this chapter, and then a chapter previous with Dennis Rodman. So, anyways, yeah, that's that. We're gonna get into it. The pictures for this, if you haven't looked up any of the images for Smog and for the Lonely Mountain and them Bilbo entering here and the spears and the axes and all the stuff that's hanging around here, it's awesome. I do love the movie. I think they did a great job in the movie. I really enjoy this part when Bilbo is sneaking in here and we're talking to Smog and we're finally getting to hear him, speak, and he's scary and what have you. But really cool illustrations for this. So
yeah, definitely.
Okay, so inside information. Let me see here. You kind of said it earlier, but do we need Bilbo Baggins or do we not? Like Thorin, do you want him on the team or not?
Yeah, make up your mind. Like you can't keep using him as a scapegoat.
You want him to do the dirty work.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. It's like look, I hate to go back to the Bulls reference out the gate, but it's like Thorin is like an older Michael Jordan who's just like, look, when he does something right, it's Thorin, baby, Thorin and company, all right. But when he doesn't, it's well, Dennis Rodman, where you at, man? Bilbo, come on now. This is why we hired you, to rebound, to go do the the thieving, and Out the gate, that's how they treat him, and he has to remind them, hey, hold on a second.
Yeah.
You know, remember when we were in these tight spots, and like it's the things that kind of go unnoticed, and that's kind of why we made this connection to Dennis Rodman. It's the work ethic. It's the guy who is doing sort of even though
getting the rebounds.
Yeah, even though
getting the rebounds.
He's almost like he's a bit more. I think I'm okay with it if somebody's saying, hey, just more than a rebound, but like so did Dennis.
So did Dennis.
I know.
He was the rod man. Okay, so here's the deal. You just called it out. You made the comparison, so I'm gonna counter. All right.
Go.
I'm gonna give you an assist here. Thorin is Michael Jordan. Yes. So if Thorin is Michael Jordan, and if Gandalf is Phil Jackson, and if Bilbo is Dennis Rodman, then I think that Balin has to be Scottie Pippen.
I knew you were gonna say that.
Has to be Scottie Pippen.
Who's the only person who says, you know what? I'll go in with you, lad.
I have God, that part just melted my heart.
I know.
They did such a good job of that in the movie, but it's like none of the rest of them even, like the two younger hobbits kind of leaned into one step and then sort of stopped because they realized no one else even moved a muscle.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah,
shame on them, dude. Shame on these dwarves, bro.
I can't, and I kind of want to talk, and just so you guys know, so again, we're about to enter the Lonely Mountain. We're sending in Bilbo Baggins to go in and retrieve some treasure. And you know what? I say retrieve some treasure. We don't even really know what Thorin intended him to go in there and do. Because later on, I'm sorry if I'm being a little critical of Thorin, but
that's okay.
He comes back out, when he eventually comes back out with the cup, they're like, well, what'd you bring the cup out for? You pissed off the dragon.
Yeah.
It's,
right, they're blaming him for that. Yes.
What do you want here? So I just think it's interesting, and there's this kind of, Bilbo is I don't know, we feel for him because we know what he's done. We know that he's thinking about home, and we know that he's thinking like, I could forsake all of this and just be good with going back.
Yeah, he's at one point he pretty much comes out and says like, I have no, vested interest in this at all. Like, this is not my deal. I could, he says, if you sent me back to my home right now, I couldn't care less, is essentially what he comes out and says. Like, I have no desire for this gold. I have no desire for this treasure. This isn't my quest. Because he's pushed to the point of being angry because he's treated with a lot of disrespect and blame, and unrightfully so. And Tolkien even says, like, he has become the leader of this group.
He has exactly, and
they don't even know what to do without him. They don't know what to. They ask him for advice.
I know.
They ask him what his plan is.
How the turntables, man? Because at the beginning of this, he was too gentle to go out into and now,
bro,
no one will walk into this. What did you think you were getting into here, man? You knew there was a dragon there last you left. I hate to be critical, but
no, shame on the dwarf. Not all the dwarves, but shame on Thorin, man. I found one comparison, one like oh crap, I can't even think of what it's called. It's like it's a mirror image that I just caught. I think it's gonna blow your mind. You probably caught it too, and when it gets there, when we get to it, I'll bring it up. But it blew my freaking mind.
You want to mention it now? Because I'm more of this gonna go. Okay. I did want to ask you a question.
Let's get into it. What? Yeah.
I wanted to ask you a question, and this is skipping in a couple paragraphs here because out the gate, I mean, the big thing here is he says to Thorin once it's suggested that Bilbo go in, he's like, if you think it's my job to go in first, then may your beard grow ever longer. Say so at once and have it done. And basically he's kind of saying, I might or might not go, but also let's just go and who's coming with me type of thing. But it's subtly thrown in here a lot of times. He says, perhaps I have begun to trust my luck more than I used to in the old days. Man. He's the lucky number.
Yeah.
It kind of comes full circle. Sacred hoops, my friend.
Sacred hoops. And I did also, not to just...
Go ahead.
I don't know. Maybe we can't get out of the bull ring. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe we are waving the red cape and we just can't get out. But third time pays for all, as his father said. Did the Bulls not win 2 3-peat championship?
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
Also, how does his father, and I don't really know, how does he know so much about worms?
Ooh.
I mean,
dude, is there a story there? Bilbo's daddy?
You've got the green dragon, and like that's the thing that's always, back in. Something
Who
is
was the
known
green dragon?
of dragon lore, right?
Yes.
So,
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. True.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So I just thought that was interesting because didn't you say Shippy had some talked about Tolkien and luck at one point, or
yes, we talked about it last episode. I think how luck was more of a the connotation is from like the root of the word luck is so much different than how we like think of luck now. We think of luck as almost like, by chance or by a happy turn, right? Whereas before it was more like this, almost like this, I don't know if it was a virtue necessarily, but it was like a divine kind of thing, like something that was almost more like how, most notably anyway, the forefathers of the United States called providence, right? Like this provision from above.
There you go.
That it was like, you were lucky, almost kind of like you were being looked after by a higher power, perhaps.
Trusting in a guiding kind of spirit or something, like something that is like moving and I got you.
Yes. And so interesting you bring Shippy up because I think I'll save it for when we're done with the chapter. At the very end of the chapter, we can kind of reflect on what we've read, and I'll read a couple pages from the book where he talks about the the mythology behind the dragon story, and he goes through this entire chapter in a couple of pages and makes comparisons to some of the more notable like dragons in legend and how they were defeated and how Tolkien took those stories and kind of twisted them and put his own little spin on it.
Yeah. Okay. I like that. I'm very
cool,
interested in that. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I knew you'd like that. Yeah.
Well, because and we'll get to it here in a second. But some of the dragon, like the nature, dragon lore, what you do and don't know is very interesting. So we'll get to that very shortly.
And even like how you interact with the dragon, right? And how you go to face a dragon. It's very what Bilbo does is very like not traditionally heroic, right? When you think of a dragon, you've got this big, heroic figure.
Smaug was dreaming about that. Smaug was dreaming about a figure with a sword facing it.
Yeah.
The heroic version, and then here stands Bilbo, right?
Yeah. Little hobbit. Yep.
Well, so as Lane said earlier, Bilbo goes down here alone at first, and it is Balin, right? Who the lookout man, who was rather fond of the Hobbit. He said he would come inside, at least, and perhaps a bit of the way to ready to call for help if necessary.
Yeah,
he was the only one who did go in there. So shout out to Balin. We love him.
Yes,
there's that. Now, with that being said, Tolkien kind of dives into some of the like the nature of dwarves a bit, and talks. It says dwarves are not heroes, but calculating folk with great ideas of the value of money. Some are tricky and treacherous, and pretty bad lots, and some are not, but are decent enough people like Thorin and company if you don't expect too much. So
I really like how Tolkien humanizes them here, because again, it's a very like mythological, fantastical race, right? That can sometimes be kind of cartoonish, and what he does is he makes them like very human, right? He says they're not heroes. They're not like these super. They're calculating. They assess the risks. They value their treasure. Some are good. Some are bad. Some are tricky. Some are true. But most are like Thorin and company, and they're decent enough. But you can't expect too much of them. That's not. We don't think of like fantasy characters and races and beings being like that. We don't think of them being like us. That sounds like a lot of people.
Yeah.
like most human beings you run into is like most of them aren't bad. Most of them aren't superheroes. Like they're doing the best they can, and they're great as long as you don't expect them to save the world. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's what we say at the beginning of every episode. It starts off, welcome Welcome to an unexpected podcast. Don't expect too much. We drag on. We drag on.
Dude, we drag on reminds me of she lob. Sometimes she lob.
Oh, sometimes she lie.
Sometimes she lie.
But most times she lob.
Most times she lob.
Oh, I love that so much. Okay,
dang.
hey, so here we go. Let's follow Ballin for a little bit. I just want to bring this up. So I want to mention it because once you mentioned and you emphasized luck to me, it stood out way more than it ever had before. Because
all over the place.
All over. Ballin wishes him good luck.
Yep.
As he
circled.
as he lets him go.
Yeah.
So
could have said anything there, like goodbye or I'll see you soon.
Yeah.
He says good luck.
Right.
Yep.
Good luck. So now this is the bit where he is. I think it's coming up here where it says, where's the part where he talks about like, this was like one of the bravest things that he had ever done, right?
Oh, yeah, dude. Yes. Yep. It's in about a half a page. First we get him slipping the ring on, making his way down, moving noiselessly. So we're also seeing that the traits of hobbits being able to move, so quietly and so stealthily really paying off here because he's coming in undetected. He loosened his dagger in its sheath. He tightened his belt and he went on. He talks about reminiscing about his, this is the same Hobbit, right? But it's a very different Hobbit who longed for his handkerchief. Hadn't had a handkerchief for a long time. Now instead he's got a sword by his side. Yeah. And then he's saying you're in for it at last, Bilbo Baggins. You went and put your foot right in it to the night of that party, and now you've got to pull it out and pay for it. Dear me, what a fool I was and am, said the least tookish part of him. I like how the least tookish part of him calls him a fool. Like fool of a toque. I love how that's right there. He's just saying no use for treasure. Oh man. And then just thinking like he wishes if he could, he would wake up. He would enjoy waking up to find this tunnel being just his front hall. Maybe it's the night and it's dark, and instead of this tunnel leading down to a dragon, it's actually just, his front hall at night. It's getting this a red light that he's not sure at first if he sees it, but then he starts to see there's definitely this light emanating from down below. It's getting warmer, and then it's starting to get hot, and there's no doubt about it. He's starting to sweat like you. Right. He's starting to wisps of vapor are floating around.
That smoke's getting to me.
Smoke's getting to you.
Smoggy up in here.
And he's starting to hear this this throbbing in his ears, like a bubbling of a large pot galloping on the fire, mixed with the rumble of a big tomcat. So just this breathing, right? Even more than that, this snoring. So I'm leading up to this line so that you can read this and just revel in this. But I have a real life experience that kind of partners with this. Yeah, we were in a hotel in Dallas, and we had just driven. We had just drived almost 24 hours from Ohio to go to the Rohirrim gathering at Chase McKinney's house. And we're trying to get some much needed rest in a hotel. We were exhausted, bro. Like butt crack exhausted.
I know.
And we're laying there. Had just gotten a nice shower. Like we shower. You know how you get nasty when you're traveling. Showered up. Yeah. Laid in a nice hotel bed. Man, you know what? Before COVID, there was nothing better than a nice hotel bed, bro. Yeah. I don't care if you're at the Red Roof Inn or if you're at the frickin' Hilton. There's something about someone else making your bed for you. Yeah. What an entitled prick I sound like. Anyway, laying in bed, I slipped into some of the deepest and soundest sleep I've ever had in my life, only to be awoken by the snoring of a dragon, or at least that's what I thought. I was in and out of dreams, just like Bilbo. Kind of his mind's wandering here. I wonder if it's partially the vapors, also smog. We know that he had this dream of a warrior. I thought, my gosh, I'm awakening to a dragon, and I realized it's just you in the next bed, right?
It's just me.
And I'm like,
just,
oh wow, okay. Well, as a snorer, I know that he's a snorer. That's cool, whatever. I was like, I'll just fall back asleep. I tried. I kid you not, for 45 minutes to fall asleep. And I kept thinking, all right, he'll roll over or something and it'll stop. I don't know.
No.
The sound only increased as if I was going further down into this tunnel. The rumbling I felt in my chest. I felt like I almost started snoring involuntarily. Like because my vocal cords were starting to tremble as well.
Right.
Do you know what I had to do? Like I can't well, you know, but the uppers listening don't know. I had to put on a white noise sound machine on my phone.
Yep.
I went to YouTube. I looked up white noise. I turned it up as loud as I could. And only then was I able to mask the snoring of the dragon one bed over.
Let me tell you something.
I finally got back to sleep. Yeah.
Who was the dwarf who was like? Remember in the movie, like the flies are going in
Bomber.
and out.
It was Bomber.
Was that Bomber? Yep. Okay, Bomber's sitting there just sucking flies. I mean, that literally, I had never slept better in my life. All right, I know Lane suffered, and I told him. I literally leaned over and he's like, I haven't been able to sleep because you woke me up because you were snoring, and I said, get over it, you know, get over it, roll back over it and go to sleep. Quit crying, okay? I pulled a Thorin. I said, go down in there
straight Thorin.
and face smog. I swear to God, get in there. No, that is fun. Yeah, this is kind of a snoring dragon. By the way, can I a quick side note here? This is kind of you want like an inside joke here?
Yeah, let's do it.
I actually talked to a certain you know who about a certain you know what, and I actually brought that example up, and I actually said, but you know. Dude, a lot of times snoring comes down to, so this is so funny. I actually, dude, hold on a second, man. I've never done this before. I'm going to need you to carry the show for like 2 seconds here. It's right here on my stair. I have a new product that I would like to present to everyone.
Is it a water pick?
You're not going to believe this. You're not going
to
believe this.
I hope it's not a water pick, because last time we saw the water pick, we saw the effects of it. I had to kind of give you a play-by-play of that. I kind of wonder if he's not going to bring out like a sleep apnea mask or a nose strip. Is it a nose strip? What is it? So I just made a guess while you were going and getting what you had. Is it a sleep apnea mask?
No, it's
one
not.
Of the Vader masks? Okay.
No,
are they nose strips?
I will say this. Lane and I are full, you know, hey, we're just hobbits. All right,
just hobbits.
Some of us had some of us used to have more than second breakfast. We had third and fourth. All right, so but like since I've lost like weight and I've been doing keto, right? Bring up the old keto guy. I have not. I had my I went to my sister and I was like, you know, because I didn't used to snore, but like when you have all that weight like around your face and stuff, you snore more. Like sincerely, you do. It's a thing, right?
It's true. Yeah, it's true.
So I jokingly, for you know who, like made the joke that, look, if what Lane says is still true, if I am smog, right, don't worry, because I got some pure sleep mouth. It's this mouthpiece thing that will literally like, you can put it in there and it helps you like not snore. And I'm just like,
dude, what if you swallow that thing?
No, dude, it's like fitted and everything. It's like a mouth guard. What if I swallow it? I'd be the guy who would.
Can you imagine that thing just goes right down the old windpipe and you're gone?
That would suck.
You're gone, dude.
Oh my God.
Now that would be a little missing a scale, wouldn't it?
That would
like
be
metaphorically.
Yes.
That would be as the podcasting dragon goes down because of a mouth guard, trying to end the snoring once and for all. For you know who, and wow.
I just thought it was hilarious because
I think that's great. I mean, I wonder if it's gonna work. I wonder if you even how would you know if you snore as bad as you used to?
Get this. This is how much I care. I was like, because I've for the last year and a half I've been working on my health. I've been running. I've been doing all that kind of stuff. And I laid on the couch and I told my sister, I said, Sarah, I'm gonna lay.
Yeah, Sarah could check it out.
I'm gonna fall asleep on my back. And Rachel was like looking over at me with like she's on my phone. She's like grinning at me. This is my niece, and she knows I'm up to something. I was just Rachel. I was like, you just like you can just. She was down at my feet actually, and I was like, Uncle Ia is going to sleep on my back. And I looked over at Sarah and I was like, record me if I start snoring. And she's like, you were good. She's like, you had a couple like, you know, like kind of like.
So it's improved.
Oh, big time, dude. I actually jokingly was going to send you a video of it, but I was kind of like,
You should have.
I should have. Maybe I will. I'll see if she
Would
still
have made
has
me
it.
jealous, probably, honestly, because I've been like, where was this 2 years ago?
But it's hilarious. Like, it's hilarious. I mean, honestly, to folks out there, if your mate has a snoring issue, no one's telling pure sleep right here. I'm sure it works. I haven't tried it yet. It's still
I'm sure it works.
It's still in the box. I haven't tried it because my sister told me that I was good, but it's here for emergencies just in case. You never know. So anyways, like, smog, I also once was a snorer. So let that be known to the podcasting verse. All right.
Man, it's like, it's okay, dude. It's okay. Like, I got over it. I was able to. Now, Sarah, my wife, Sarah, not your sister, Sarah, my wife, Sarah Goldberry, claims that I snore too.
I heard you snore that. I heard you snore that night.
It's bullcrap. It's bullcrap.
I know you didn't believe that. No, it wasn't.
It's worm tongue, man.
But what yours is like you can barely hear it. I was like, what is that noise?
I don't snore.
But
I don't know.
Also, Lane, when you're in the car, when we're in the car and when your head is tilted back in a certain way, like, you know how like your head slides off of the head rest and you're laying back in the car.
Falling asleep in a car is the worst.
Your head is literally shooting straight up at the thing. There's no way you're not making some weird noises up in there, and you're like everything is contorted and you're just all over the place.
Did we fall asleep on that trip though?
Yeah,
we did.
I let
towards
you
the end.
Yeah, on the way back because you let me sleep for a little bit. I just leaned over against the door, and then you were a trooper, and then I popped in there. You stayed up for a long time, and I said, you got to get like an hour because I'm going to need you in like 2 here.
Dude, that was talk about feats.
That was insane.
That was such a triumph.
That was like we were on Shadowfax and we went straight to Mordor and back. It was crazy. I don't know what happened.
We did not stop. It was that's exactly it. That's exactly it.
Anyway, so imagine your Bilbo Baggins sneaking down on a sleeping a slumbering and it's worse because I'm also fire breathing and there's smoke coming out. But dude, that's the thing. Here is something really cool about this. So there is later on when Bilbo is sneaking down, it says that he was so quiet that he was as if it was like smoke being gently pushed by the wind.
Yeah.
And I was like, Tolkien, you are
he's a genius.
Real, man, because
he's a genius.
All of the like he'll tie it to the clouds, like that the visuals, right? I mean, you've got those wispy clouds, you've got different things. Then smog, like you've got smog, the name smog. You've got some steam rising. Then you've got like you're describing how Bilbo walks.
I didn't think
it's
about that.
all connected. It's just like wow. So I like that.
Yes. I felt like this chapter especially, like that imagery. There's a couple of parts that I underlined too where I was just like it just nailed it. Like he nailed it. Like there's one point coming up that I'll highlight when we get to it. But sometimes it's hard for me to imagine what an author is describing. It's just hard. Like I can't picture it. But there are times where he gets down on my level and he says it in such a way that I'm like, boom, like it's there. Mm-hmm. Like I can close my eyes and I can see it exactly. Like exactly. And it's all the work of his words. It's almost like he takes out the imagination equation. Like I don't even have to turn the key of my imagination ignition. Like he just plops it in there. I just have to close my eyes. Sometimes you don't have to close your eyes. You're obviously reading it. So it lights up my brain in a way that I don't know. Like some authors that I've read before, that it does not happen like that.
Yeah.
It does not happen in the same way that he does. And it's always, not always, but a lot of times it's like you just said, it can be the most simple, expression. Like who doesn't know what smoke, whisked away by the wind looks like? Anyone who's been around a fire knows exactly what that looks like and what it sounds like, because it looks like it should make some sort of noise, but nothing at all.
Yeah.
Nothing. And it's like, so you can imagine, okay, he's the most silent creature. You could imagine.
Well, we talked the game of hide and go seek. I mean, if you can, I mean, that's pretty solid. He's moving through there. Can't hear him. So yeah, it gives you that extra kind of like Hobbit power that Bilbo has. But all of this is leading to this line, where in which it says that it was at this point, right as he's hearing all of these different things, he hears the dragon. He can see the glow. He can see the steam and the vapors that floated up past him. He's sweating. It was at that point that Bilbo stopped. Going on from there was the bravest thing he ever did. I mean, that's a statement. Going on from there was the bravest thing he ever did. Yeah. The tremendous things that happened afterwards were as nothing compared to it.
How about that?
He fought the real battle in the tunnel alone before he ever saw the vast danger that lay in wait. That, if you...
Is that the best quote from the book?
I compare it to...
I said that's the second best excerpt from this book. I wrote it in the margin.
You hear that, I think about Sam, who said, in those great stories, there were those individuals who the stories wouldn't have been told if those individuals turned back.
Wow.
That it was in those moments that he's talking about Bilbo in that moment right there.
Wow.
That's what Sam's saying later on. And you're like, okay, Bilbo fought that fight alone in the Lonely Mountain.
Yeah.
Against Smaug.
In the Lonely Mountain.
He fought right there. And that, I'm telling you, it's...
Alone
Tolkien,
in the Lonely Mountain.
He's a genius. People, you can read these things time and time again and get one more nugget out of it. And you're like, wow. It's almost too much. And it's just The Hobbit. It's just The Hobbit, which is also a whole other thing. The simplicity, you say this with C.S. Lewis. This is a book where I think Tolkien is showing off a little bit in terms of like the economy of words.
Yes.
And easing you through this and very gently taking you naturally into like I know what this looks like. I know what this hall looks like. I understand how dwarves build it and everything. So, and I understand the battle that's going on with Bilbo right now and alone here in this hall right before he goes in. So,
how insane that a totally foreign situation, right? You and I and everyone listening and everyone who's read this book has never been in a tunnel about to approach a dragon. No one has. But we know exactly what this feels like. You and I had conversations about it, ironically, on that trip, right?
Yes, we did.
You in the car. Yes, we did. I love road trips with you, man. I love road trips in general, but the road trips with my family, obviously, and then road trips with my friends, road trips with you down there. We've had road trips, just around. You love to drive. Yeah, down to Florida. You just love to drive. So getting in the car, it's just like, we're going to spend some time in there. There's conversations, even just running out here to Circleville, Kroger, getting something. We have conversations, and it's like we talked about that very battle, right? Yep. That very battle that goes on in all of us, and it's just crazy. It's crazy to liken it to a dragon. That's exactly what it is. A sleeping dragon.
That's what it is, and you're fighting Smaug. Right up here, like in your heart, in your soul, in your spirit, in your mind, that fight goes on. We all know what that's like. And actually, it's just an interesting way because Tolkien right here invites us to picture it. Let me see here. He fought the real battle in the tunnel. At any rate, after a short halt, go on, he did. And you can picture him coming to the end of the tunnel. Right? And opening as much the same side. He's basically saying, and you can do this. He is encouraging the reader to say, don't worry, this is not too much. This is just like what you think it is. You know what I mean? And I'm like, wow, there's like a reassurance by the author, by the narrator in the story that you can picture this. And what you are picturing and what you're feeling right there, he knows what he did. He knows that that's an epic line. He knows that's an epic moment. Yes. What you're feeling and you're connecting to it, you're allowed to, and what you're picturing is real, and go forward. I think it's great.
And no, dude, I'm not kidding. There's one line. There's one quote in this book that I think is number one. Mm-hmm. But that might be like one. There might be 1A and that's 1B.
1B, yeah.
1B.
Yeah.
Like because they're both. Because honestly, I don't know that before this chapter there's too many. You know what I mean? Like quotes like that where you stop in your tracks in the same way that Bilbo is literally stopped in his tracks there. Mm-hmm. Like I don't know if there are too many profound moments like that where you're like, oh my gosh,
right? This
is so in a lot of ways we're just continuing to be drawn into this world and something so fantastical we can relate to our own lives. But it's also okay. So another connection to Sam, that moment where he decides to see it through.
Yeah. Yes.
Right.
Exactly.
Where he also decides to go on in a sense when he contemplates not.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
And it's just so interesting. So interesting.
It feels real. It feels real, and that's what makes it.
Yeah, it does.
Even better because okay, so we get down to he finally sees the glow of Smaug. That is the get to the bottom of this. We see this for sure. So there he lay, a vast red golden dragon, the golden drake candle. Good God,
yeah, baby,
Jeez,
it smelled amazing. If
unreal.
if that's the smell that was going on down there too, I mean. Welcome,
right, you could welcome. You could
no
put up
worries.
with the snoring if that's the smell.
Yeah, absolutely.
You'd be fast asleep. All right. So yeah, a thrumming came from his jaws and nostrils and wisp of smoke, but his fires were low in slumber. So beneath his limbs, I'm gonna read this. Beneath him, under all of his limbs and his huge coiled tail. And about him on all sides, stretching across the unseen floors, lay countless piles of precious things, gold, wrought and unwrought, gems and jewels, and silver red, stained in the light. So there's tons of treasure laying all over the place. Yeah. He describes kind of, I think, even some of the, here we go. Helms and axes and swords and spears were hanging up there in the back. Mm-hmm. I think I can't remember when this was, that Thorin, they were talking about what was down there. Remember that? That might be later. I think it's when he comes back with the cup, right?
They were like made for
they were never picked up.
Kings and people that they either never picked them up or they never paid for them.
Right, that's what it was.
Yeah. So it's pretty cool that we get drawn back to that. I also kind of hate and love, I guess, that he's likened to what, man? An immeasurable bat.
Oh my God!
Like no thanks.
Sorry. Yeah,
no
I just
thanks.
got
like,
that. Okay.
Talk about getting triggered.
That's not good.
It's not good for me.
Good.
That's
Could
not
you
good
imagine?
For me.
Of all the episodes, like a bat were to reappear in our podcast,
no. Please God no, because you know what, the guano is back, and I know where I have to go up and patch another hole because this whole roof job is taking forever. The bats aren't gone yet, dude. What if like? It's so funny because people who've been listening since the very beginning are like, "Geez, Lane's been dealing with these bats for a long time."
Years.
Yes, I have. Bats are not easy to get rid of, guys. Okay.
Yep.
Insane. It's insane. Ugh. Yeah. Hate them.
Yeah. Well, let's hope. Let's hope.
Em.
Yeah. Let's.
I don't condone killing animals, but
I know. But you're annoyed beyond all get out with.
I would not
bats.
begrudge someone killing a bat. I'm just saying it.
Yeah. Well, let's get back to Smaug here, who we are allowed to just kind of. He's not a nice guy.
He's not.
He's guy.
He's a jerk, dude.
He's a jerk, man.
He's an aristocrat.
Let me tell you why he's a jerk. Okay, let me just jump right to this because basically Bilbo goes down here and he grabs was it a goblet, right? A two-handed
massive cup. Have you seen?
Yeah.
Have you looked at that illustration at the very beginning of? I think I sent it to you as well. I think it's the best illustration we've found.
Oh,
so
yeah,
there
right
it
there,
is.
the cup. It's massive.
Yeah, he's holding it. But how cool is that moment?
Yep.
Like how dynamic is that? There's this illustration we'll have to either link in the description or like post on social media. For me, it's the best. I don't even know who did this piece. Maybe someone on DeviantArt. I don't even know. But I love illustrations where you can like feel the movement.
Sure.
Like it looks like a snapshot from just a chaotic moment. And this is later on, but you get a glimpse of the cup there anyway. But it takes that big old two-handed goblet thing.
Yeah, so that's what he has, and he's going down here. Basically, he remembers being mocked as being more of a grocer than a burglar.
Yeah, this will show him.
Yeah, this will show him, right? So he's grabbing that cup. It's awesome. It's cool. Now he's going to get a piece of the treasure. What I think is crazy, and the reason I said Smaug is a jerk, let him have the cup.
He gets so upset about this cup.
He gets so ticked.
I do love the comparison to a rich person coming up that he makes to explain his anger. And I mean, we've all known people like that who, they have everything, and one thing they forgot they even had gets taken, and they get upset, and it's like, what in the world?
Yeah, or it gets broken.
Or broken. Yeah. I can't believe you broke my vase. There's one of these moments of just perfect imagery for me is just above that, before his kind of his feeling of victory that, hey, I am a burglar. This will show him for sure. This big cup it's just like 2 sentences. It's after he grabs the cup and casts one fearful eye upwards. Smaug stirred a wing, opened a claw. The rumble of his snoring changed its note. It's just like you can see him grabbing this cup, looking up real quick, and then seeing this stir and this movement, and it's like, wow. I
would have froze, right? I would have been like,
yeah. Like, you could. I don't think they
past a dragon,
Yeah, and like he's almost like kind of hiding behind this cup. It's just unreal.
Two things I want to mention before I forget it. I like how in the movie, and I like in some of our illustrations here, how the treasure is glowing, because you have to you think of like the heat or the red glow that Bilbo kept seeing. It wasn't just Smaug. It is also that glow coming off all of the gold in the treasure that makes it all just illuminate, which is, I think, a wild image to think about. Like, a lot of times when you think of a dragon, or you see them depicted, like Tolkien's mind is thinking a glowing dragon. Like it was the glow of Smaug. That's literally what he says. And when you look at any of the artwork, it's like, it reflects down into the treasure and glows out from it, and it's sick.
Almost like a bed of embers, like in a fire. You know what I mean? Like Smaug is the fire, and these are like the coals almost that are just at the base of the fire itself. Yeah.
Right. I can't help. So this is another, and you guys are going to think I'm ridiculous. I know we made connections to the bulls, but now it's time to make, another connection here to something more historical and something more, I don't know, that this is a direct connection to the Fellowship. So it's actually the Fellowship of the Dig, though. The Fellowship of the Dig. This is the. Oh my god. This is the Marty Lagina, Marty and Rick Lagina.
Are they still bringing up wood?
The curse of Oak Island.
It's the corner of the box. I know it. It's the corner of the box with the gold hidden.
If you have not seen, I'm doing you a huge favor right here. Okay. Every once in a while, as the Flannel Wizard comes out here and does a big favor for you, go watch the Curse of Oak Island and watch this. It's amazing. Lane, when Bilbo comes out of here with the one stinking cup, it's like Rick and Marty found one piece of wood up out of the money pit, and they are celebrating to the high heavens. They cannot believe they found a piece, or when they find a piece of pottery on Oak Island, they're like, I mean, they're losing their minds. When Bilbo comes back up out of here, the cheering and the celebrating that goes on. Like, he's just laying there like as if he ran a marathon. Like, this bliss overcomes him, looking at the starry skies. And I thought to myself, whatever did happen,
one of the biggest stretches.
Whatever happened to this treasure, I know where it's at. It's in Oak Island. Smaug's treasure, like this hoard is there, and they're gonna find it one day. But anyways, back to our story here. I really thought of that though when I was listening to it. I thought, this reminds me of like the one small find you come out and they haven't even seen the treasure, right? Balin didn't see a daggone thing.
True.
They assume it's still there. There's a dragon. They don't even know if the dragon's in there. They hear, but Bilbo has to go down and see all this and come back and report to them.
Yeah.
So anyway, I thought that was kind of funny.
That's pretty good. Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah. Okay, I'll give you that one.
Right. Good
I wish I could get that month and a half a couple years ago of binging that show back of my life, but yeah, no, I'll give the Lagina brothers that. They're definitely little dwarves. Don't expect too much of him. I love that he when he gets out in the open air, he's gasping and taking pleasure in the feel of the fresh air again. All right, and this made me think of Mirkwood when he gets above the treetops, right? And he didn't even almost realize until that moment just how stifling that air in Mirkwood was. But it also makes me think, dude, like these are always so that Mirkwood was like, not sure they're going to make it out of this, right? That was another moment where like, not sure they're going to make it out of this. This moment they're in here now, especially what happens in the next few pages, not sure they're going to make it out of it. And I love how like these daunting challenges or places often leave the characters unable to breathe, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Just like moments in our lives where it's like, I don't know if I can, moments of stress, moments of anxiety, it's difficult to breathe. Mm-hmm. Right? You lose your breath, your heart rate increases, you start breathing more irregularly, oxygen gets depleted. It's so interesting to me. I know that it's because of an external force, not an internal force. But again, it's a comparison we can make because, Tolkien wrote it in such a way that it's like, wow, that applies to the applicability. And we go back to the applicability, right? Of like Lord of the Rings especially, but even here I can think of moments where I've gotten out of a situation and I'm just like, oh, you're like, you feel like you can breathe again, like something is off your chest and you're able to, or the air is more fresh or something. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, this all goes back and yeah, exactly. Shout out to Nicole Whitaker, who got the tattoo. Don't forget the sniffing.
Never forget the sniffing.
Because we're about to go into the part where Smaug does just that. He's sniffing around, like you said, like breath, breathing, being in tune with how the body feels, taste, smell, all those things. Yep. Tolkien is so good, I think, at just kind of weaving in all the senses and not forgetting the sniffing. A lot of people do.
A lot of people do. But you should not.
And so, I had to laugh a couple times when I was with Smaug here because get over it, man. Yeah. Smaug, you're gonna lose. He's just so overconfident. You could have slept on here. The fact that you chase after this one cup and you go out and expose yourself here, that's your undoing, man. So he goes on the hunt right around the whole mountain just to kind of push us on here a little bit. And he's out there flying around. He's we hear him kind of say, thieves, fire, murder, right? Yep. These things hadn't happened since he first came there, since he first came to the mountain. So he's been at peace, really, just loving up on all of his gold and his treasure. Yeah. And now he can actually smell that something's amiss, right?
Yeah. It's like it's a sense of like there's been an invasion, right? Like it's the same way that I feel when I see this is I kind of feel a little akin to Smaug in a way, like when the bats would get in the house.
Yeah,
I felt the same way.
Something smelled off.
Same way, like no. And then when he makes that remark of he should have plugged that hole long ago. I know. How many of us have like put off a chore, or put off something, and it's like I should have dealt with that a long time ago. I should have dealt with that ages ago, and now I'm paying for it, right? I'm paying for it, man.
Lane, literally, you are paying for it. You're paying for it. It wasn't the hole that you put off. Someone had a hole long ago that they should have patched up. Jeezy cow, man.
So that makes it even worse. That makes it even worse. Gosh.
That's wild.
Anyway, whatever.
All right, so let's push on here a little bit. So he's out there eating ponies. Like Bilbo is Bilbo has the awareness to say we've got to get inside the door, get inside the the tunnel.
And they almost forget about Boffer and Bomber. who are down in the valley with the ponies. So they're able to get them up in some of their stores. But yeah, the pony is curtains for the ponies.
Well, and Thorin finally, comes to his senses and says, "We can't leave him, guys.
Yeah,
get inside, Mr. Baggins, Balin, Philly Killy. They're not going to have all of us. We're going to go out here." I mean, so that's where you get that whole quote about dwarves, where he's talking about dwarves being, some are back and forth. It's just, they've got good and bad like all of us.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Right.
They're just,
yep.
So Harry rises to the occasion and he goes out and helps out. So yeah, they finally get inside just kind of in time because Smaug is torching the side of this mountain, right?
Just blowing it up.
Flames everywhere. His wings are
up, man.
I've never seen somebody this upset about a stolen cup. It
depends on the cup though. Like,
yeah.
Have you ever broken like a favorite mug or something? Or
let me tell you right now, my mom, when when we would break glass, I don't know what happened one time.
It's the worst, dude. Breaking a glass is bad.
Well, let's go back to luck here. Bad luck or whatever it was. I think we were just trying to do the dishes too fast, and soap suds are flying, and I'm rushing around, and it was like the third glass I had broken 3 weeks, one a week, and Mom was pissed. I mean, it was bad. So I definitely saw
Dragonfire.
Dragonfire. It was. Yep. I had to do laundry for the next 3 weeks, which I hated. My sister and I always traded. I said, "I'll do the dishes, you do the laundry." And
laundry
Mom said,
is such an ordeal.
Yeah, she said, "Switch
even
it
as
up."
an adult, man. Oh my gosh.
I know.
Because then you gotta like I hang dry all my clothes because I don't like what the dryer does to it, and then you gotta fold it, and then you gotta put it away, and it never stops, man. Never.
Let me just say this.
Yeah.
My biggest thing, I told my mom, I said, "Mom, I don't know how to fold these. I don't know how to fold all these clothes." And she's like, "What do you mean? Which ones?" So I was like, "The female undergarments." I don't know how you fold them. I don't know what you do. She was like, "Stop." I was a teenager. I was so ridiculous. I'm sorry.
That's hilarious, dude.
God. Anyway, so yeah, poor ponies. They're gone.
You better figure that out. You better figure out how to fold that stuff, man.
Right. So here we go. Let's move on here.
Yep.
When the morning came, the terror of the dwarves grew less. So they're going to stay in here, they have conversations about the theft, and was it the goblet that caused all of this? Like him stealing this. What did you want me to do? I'm a burglar, that kind of thing. So yeah, when the morning came, the terror of the dwarves grew less. They realized that dangers of this kind were inevitable. No kidding, guys.
No,
Yep. You literally said at the start of this journey you were going to go pick a fight with a dragon.
Yes, exactly.
Good golly.
Exactly.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, ponies are gone. Luckily, they had saved enough of their stores to last them for some time. Luckily.
And the implication is, even if they had to go back, right? Even if they had to kind of walk back towards the river running a little bit, that they would be okay. So they were definitely wise in that respect.
Yeah. Yep. So they talk about, what do you do to get rid of a dragon? I think they kind of go over some of the lore, some of the stories, what has been done before, and this is where they're arguing with Bilbo about the treasure, and he's just like, "Hey, did we have a good plan to get all that treasure out of there?" Like, what do you want me to steal it coin by coin? I'm gonna need like 10,000 lifetimes to get all those out.
Right.
And every time I go in there, I'm risking my skin here.
Yeah.
So, anyway, so they pardon them. They're kind of like, so that's our bad, Bilbo.
Yep.
So let's see. This is where Bilbo starts to start giving some advice, right? He says, "Getting rid of dragons is not at all in my line, but I will do my best to think about it. Personally, I have no hopes at all, and I wish I was safe back at home. Never mind that for the moment. What are we to do now, today? Well, if you really want my advice, I should say we can do nothing but stay where we are. By day, we can no doubt creep out safely enough to take the air. Perhaps before long, one or two could be chosen to go back to the store by the river, replenish the things," as Lane said. And so he's starting to kind of like take over this role, and he will become the person who is like coming up with ideas. the saying comes in here. Here it is, right? Let's see. Now I will make you an offer. I have got my ring, and I will creep down this very noon. Then, if ever Smaug ought to be napping, and see what he is up to. Yeah. Perhaps something will turn up. Every worm has his weak spot, as my father used to say.
Yep.
Why did his father used to say? He says maybe not from personal experience, but his father used to say this.
Yeah, he knew it.
Very, very interesting. So
he knew it. Yeah.
Naturally, the dwarves accepted that offer
eagerly.
So, yes.
Yeah. Right. Because they didn't have to do anything. It was all on Bilbo.
Hey,
right.
You're going. He's offering this time, guys. We don't have to convince him to go. Jeez, we got ourselves a good burglar.
This is great. Yeah.
This guy's going to do all the work. All right. So he does. He goes down there. By the way, remember they had like a rock propping the door open?
Yes.
I kept thinking to myself, what if that rock, gets kicked out?
Slipped, and eventually that's what they do. They have to, eventually when they decide to shut the door, they do kick it, and because they're unsure. Like, you don't even think about this. You assume that once the door's open, you'll be able to open and close it willy-nilly, but not. This is a magical door. So once it's closed, and they don't know. Once it's closed, could we find the keyhole again? Could we open it and close it? They don't know. So it's very precarious. This entry point.
Right.
Yeah. And he's not as fearful this time, right? Because he feels like he knows what's down there. But Tolkien, again, kind of breaks the wall and says, had he known more about, or speaks to us, I guess I should say, had he known more about dragons and their wily ways, he might have been more frightened and less hopeful of catching this one napping. And this is where we kind of, eventually we learn about how he's not really napping. Right?
Exactly. He's pulling a Gandalf on us.
He's pulling a Gandalf, bro. He's pulling a Gandalf.
It's unreal. No wonder Gandalf wanted him taken out,
Oh my gosh, man. Yeah, he's stealing his sleep cycle there.
Yeah. Well, actually, I was going to talk about Gandalf at another time, but we got to get through this chapter because Gandalf really is in the full arc of things taking out one of these individuals who the Dark Lord could use, right? Against
wow,
would have been a whole different battle. Smaug would have been in the mix there. So
very true. Yeah.
So finally, Smaug does actually speak to Bilbo. Yes, Bilbo thinks he can sneak right up on him, all this good stuff, but he finally just calls out, "Well, thief, I smell you, and I feel your air. Yeah. I hear your breath. Come along, help yourself again. There's plenty to spare." And
so condescending.
Oh, such a dude. Smaug. I mean,
he's a jerk. He is a jerk.
I like him as a villain, though. He's a great...
Oh, he's a perfect villain. Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, he is.
But we're in here, and there's all this riddle like work going on. There's lovely titles, right? So Bilbo's very polite. He calls Smaug the chiefest and greatest of calamities.
Yep. Full of flattery. Yeah.
Flattery, yes. Yeah. He's like, you seem familiar with my name, but I don't seem to remember smelling you before. Mm-hmm. Who are you and where do you come from, may I ask? And I love this. I come from under the hill, and under the hills and over the hills my paths led. Yeah. And through the air I am he that walks unseen. And truly, so I can believe, right? Smaug is like, all right, I'll give you that one. I'll give you that one. I can't see you, but I can, I smell something up. Them toes are smelling.
Yeah.
So
I guess we forgot to mention too, or like point this out, which is obvious, but he's got his ring on. He had his ring on the first time.
Absolutely. Yes.
And he's got his ring on the second time, or not his ring, but the ring, but we know it as his ring. And so I think at one point he says, he can't imagine what it would have been like without his ring. Like he wouldn't have been able to do this without the ring. So that's even another, like, if you look at like a turn of luck, that he even found the ring in and that he was even able to win it from Gollum, right? Like, had that not happened, this would be
amazing.
Mess.
It's amazing. I know the way it's written, and I understand how this all evolved, but it is cool to go back and kind of connect these things. Like the one ring is literally on Bilbo's finger with a fire drake, right? I mean, you have a freaking one of these ancient individuals.
I know.
My God, if the ring falls off and stays in this treasure and Smaug, it's crazy.
There's even a anyway, a comparison later on that I popped out to me. I was like, oh my gosh, this is exactly Lord of the Rings. This is exact. And then even like, if you think about it, he's got the ring on, right? And like up 2 pages ago, Tolkien was comparing Smaug to a volcano.
Yeah, that's right.
A live volcano. And
yes,
you're like,
he was.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Like he's literally walking the ring into a volcano.
Absolutely, he is. Yes.
Like
that's
what
unreal.
in the world?
That's unreal.
And then to when we learn later on that like even if Smaug would have like incinerated Bilbo, it would have the ring would have been undamaged. Like even as powerful of a force as this is, likening him to a volcano, it wouldn't have been enough it's just crazy, man. It's so cool. Like the layers are there. They are.
Yeah, they
there.
They are. Yeah. Speaking of layers, as you get into these titles, I think some of these are pretty cool.
Yeah,
We're told as the reader, we should know where some of these come from, and we'll understand kind of why Bilbo has these titles. The one that I liked was, he says, "And I am he that buries his friends alive and drowns them and draws them alive again from the water." Like, dude, that's a little messed up, Bilbo, and actually it would scare me a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, I can't see you, but this is the title you just gave me. So, like, if I weren't Smaug, which I'm not, I'd be pissing myself. Like, that one's pretty good. Like, that one's pretty good, right?
I
mean,
good.
Like,
yeah, dude.
So
and then
anyway.
just his like these the way he weaves these riddles. I came from the end of a bag, but no bag went over me.
Well, and how about this? I am ring winner and luck wearer. Right? So he's aware of luck.
Luck.
Come on now.
And it was luck that he wears that ring as well. Like that's
now, Now, Bilbo, you went too far, because had you not have said barrel rider, we could have spared a whole bunch of people. Good Lord.
Yeah, because what does he says, like, unless that pony was named Barrel,
right?
I know that you're probably talking about an actual barrel,
right? And he's thinking Lake Town. He's thinking
yeah. So he pretty much, man. I mean, so you got to think though. What
got carried away?
He would have figured it out anyway. He would have assumed that the closest civilization is Lake Town, that they would have had to have aided at least. I think almost like it gives Bilbo too much credit for that. I think he would have gone after Lake Town anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
After all this, you know what I mean? Like you almost feel like, oh, Bilbo, like you just pretty much gave up Lake Town, Esgarath, like, but it's not even. No, he would have gone after him anyway. Yeah,
it's just another. Yeah. He's looking for a reason to to do it, and so he does. There's some back and forth about this, but basically they get to a point where Smaug informs him, "Hey, when I ate those ponies, I also smelled again. Don't forget the sniffing. He smelled dwarves on those ponies. He tasted dwarf. He's tasted them before."
Yep.
So he knows that Bilbo tries to act surprised to spare his friends, but no, I mean they're there, and Smaug's on to him. So let's see. Yeah, he says, "I suppose you got a fair price for that cup last night," he went on. "Come now, did you? Nothing at all? Well, that's just like them. And I suppose they're sulking outside, speaking of the dwarves. And your job is to do all the dangerous work and to get what you can when I'm not looking for them." This literally sounds like The Ring, or it sounds like someone like like an individual who's doing that whole kind of reverse psychology, getting you to turn on your friends.
Yep.
And
because this really nags at him later on.
It does.
To the point of like he has to address it with them. He has to bring it up and say, "Is this something that you really like? Is this true? What he's accusing you of?"
Right.
But he knows what he's doing. Right. Smaug knows what he's doing. He knows that there may or may not be any truth to it, but he's gonna try and break this little thief. Yeah. Dude, this next part. Okay, so this beginning of this next paragraph, all right? This is what, like, it didn't shock me, but I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. Bilbo was now beginning to feel really uncomfortable. Whenever Smaug's roving eye, seeking for him in the shadows, flashed across him, he trembled, and an unaccountable desire seized hold of him to rush out and reveal himself and tell all the truth to Smaug. This is exactly Frodo's experience in The Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
In a sentence. Roving eye, seeking for him in the shadows.
Wow.
Trembled with an unaccountable desire to reveal himself and give himself up.
Right.
Like, how crazy that for a short amount of time, and we kind of see, like, especially like in the movies, I love Ian Holm, old Bilbo, whatever, when he says, oh gosh, when he's like, he starts crying and he says, dang it, what does he say? I'm sorry for everything. You know, he just feels all this guilt for what Frodo has gone through and potentially is going to have to go through. And it's like, this moment kind of informs that in my mind, because it's like he, for a short time, he knew, like, very intensely what Frodo was going to feel for, like, a year.
Yes. Yeah, I get that.
Quest. Yeah.
That's a really cool connection. I mean, this dragon spell coming under this, what is this? And it does feel a lot like what the ring is trying to get you to do. And the draw that it is to just reveal yourself, and sometimes even putting it on is revealing yourself, and that's wild as well to think about. So the crazy thing, you were making a serious connection there, and I almost thought I was thinking again back to my mom. I thought I was under the dragon spell a few times. I came right out and confessed she just come right out and say it.
Man. True that.
Did not know mom had that power as well,
Yep.
So
they do.
They do. But so he does, but plucking up courage, he spoke again. So he does it. He gets that courage back just enough to say that he doesn't know everything. It wasn't gold alone that brought us here. Yeah, but I'm going to skip ahead here a bit, but it was revenge, baby.
Yeah, baby.
Revenge. Yeah. We came over hill and under hill by wave and wind for revenge. Yeah. The rhyming and the riddlery and all the kind of the battle of words going on between him and Smaug is actually pretty cool, because like Bilbo faces these foes, right? And if it's Smeagol, it's Gollum to begin with, and now here we are, right? And another
leveled up.
Yep, leveled up. So
also, that just before that too, he talks about the nasty suspicion beginning to grow. How the dwarves forgotten, the important point of he starts to question, like, what was what were you promised as a reward, and then how did you think you were gonna get? I'm guessing it was treasure. How did you even think you were gonna get it there? And did they ever lay out details like that? See, they didn't really even mean it. How are you going to bring that back to where you're from? Like,
that's true.
Can you imagine the amount of treasure that your reward would entail? He talks about how it would take lifetimes to bring it out, and then how are you going to get
smart.
You get it. Yes, he is. Get it to your home, and so this suspicion starts to grow, and it just speaks to the power of words, right? And how it's so fitting that Tolkien, whether it's, Saruman or Wormtongue or Gandalf or any of these characters that we see throughout Middle-earth that use the power of words, not the power of might, but the power of words to affect change and try to ensure outcomes, that it's so fitting that Tolkien, who was a philologist, decided to go that route. Right? It's the power of language. The man who studied words, the man who was obsessed with languages, the man who tried to save languages from going extinct, would time and time again show that it all boils down to the power of words. Like, the power of a word can put this splinter in your mind that if unchecked and unbalanced can break something that break an entire company.
It can break, dude. I'm telling you, that's actually a really good point. And on a serious note, to any, a lesson to take from this or to pass on to younger readers or what have you is this dragon talk. There are people in our lives, and we work with them, and this is unfortunate. This is Smaug. We can just hate on because he's a dragon and he's an evil character.
He's not a person. Right,
it's unfortunate that we have people in our lives who use dragon talk, though.
True.
We do. And you
Very
come
true.
across people who layer and they put these, have you thought about this? Now, he doesn't even know they just met, right?
Yeah.
You just meet somebody, negative energy's coming at you, like right at you. They're already throwing all of the stuff that you just said that you're pumped about. You're on this mission, this quest with your friends. Yeah. Well, you know what? Have you thought about this?
Yeah.
Like as if you're some know-it-all who just, and I'm sitting here buying in. And the thing is now, and Tolkien says, Bilbo, of course, ought to have been on his guard, but Smaug had a rather overwhelming personality.
Yeah.
And so just remember, I don't know, I'm a guy, and you and I talk about this in meetings a lot of times. We like to sit and listen. We're not the first to just jump in there with a response. And I think it's okay to just watch out. I think be on guard. There are a lot of and it's fine. I love lots of different like personalities, but you do get people in your lives who they plant seeds, and you're like, what?
Yeah.
I like this thing that I think I have going. I'll be honest with you. Okay, you know who I'm talking about.
Yep, sure.
People have already tried to
Really?
plant. Yes, man. I will tell you about this later.
Give me names afterwards.
I will. I've already kind of like it's something. Sometimes you don't want to share something that is private and that is exclusive to you and it's going on personal in your life because it's something you're working on or you're growing towards, right? I'll give you an easy one, right?
Yeah.
What I used to have, I used to have some friends back in the day. Anytime I started to try to like work out again or want to like get back and be active, like Ez had a lot of bone surgeries, bone tumors. I have a really bad knee.
Man.
I could make excuses for days, and I like, and there's legit reasons why. Like I had trouble, keeping up with all that kind of stuff, right? And I whatever. But anytime I would go to try to do stuff, you had people who would hype you and who would get around you and who would rally you, and you had people who tried to sabotage you. And I don't get why. And I didn't notice that in my life. They had overwhelming personalities, and I thought later it's a lesson learned, and it's all good. I'm not coming from a place of hate or negativity. It's a lesson learned. I feel good. But sometimes you go through your ups and downs, your valleys, like the highs and lows, and you look back when you're in the high and you say, wow, I've got to learn from that. I need to actually reflect on that and say, I need to identify that in the future because that may happen. And sometimes it happens because those people are just, they're miserable or they have something going on in their life that
jealousy or
exactly,
or not understanding even like a lot of times
or not taking you serious, not thinking that, hey, that's a serious thing that Ez is trying to work on or whatever. And
or I guess even sometimes assuming to know your mind and your experience in your life more than you do. I think sometimes people do that too. Like you and I have experienced that as podcasters, where people have assumed that they either think we really are dumb or that we don't know certain things or that they know all the information when really they don't. And it's easy to judge people. It's easy to judge people and simplify stuff when you think you know everything about what's going on. Mm-hmm. And that's why it's really important. It's really important to just, I don't know, man. I would say avoid making judgments at all, unless it's something you really, really know intimately or something that's happened to you that it's like, it's pretty much set in stone fact.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's just so much going on that we don't know. For sure
there is. Yes.
Yeah.
And I also say something that Bilbo can, in this moment, like whether it was not really as we think of luck, but even like almost like a gut feeling or something that kept pulling him in the right direction and keeping him away from this dragon talk and this dragon spell is a good thing. You could take it all the way back to the hobbits in general. in the Shire, and how all of that upbringing and nurturing actually affects him here and helps prepare him to deal with someone speaking falsehood to him. So
yeah, man. Yeah,
anyway, all right. So revenge makes Smaug laugh, and he says, the king under the mountain, he's dead. Where are his kin that dare seek revenge? And he talks about the Lord of Dale is dead, and so on. I've eaten them, I killed them. And back then I was young and tender. Now I'm old and strong. Man. Strong. And you know what, Smaug, let me take that one from you, though. I actually wouldn't mind stealing that quote from you. So, I says I'm old, but
I'm strong, baby.
Yeah, getting stronger here as I get older.
It's possible.
His and this is where it comes out, right? His armor. He's talking about like his claws and his tail and his wings and breath of death. Yeah.
Wings my wings are a hurricane, my tail's a thunderbolt. It's such cool. So in the same way that Bilbo kind of names himself earlier, he's kind of doing the same thing, just talking about how his strength and his body, how he is all these things: armor, tenfold shields, teeth or swords, claws or spears. Mm-hmm. It's a great visual again, because we've gotten the glow and kind of the size and stuff, but this just informs the way, and we know what dragons look like, so Tolkien doesn't have to describe the dragon, but we really get an idea of just how built Smaug is to destroy.
Yeah. Yes, for sure.
He's a death machine. He's not this cuddly,
no.
Puff the Magic Dragon.
Heck no.
He's gonna
He's not
kill you.
Falkor. He's not a luck dragon. No. I thought you were gonna bust into the never-ending story.
Podcast. Do you remember our song?
Oh my god.
That was great.
Yeah,
that was great.
Yeah. So Bilbo thinks of something pretty clever here, which is as he's praising him and stuff, he's like, that's he understood all of that, but aren't you guys also kind of soft underneath? And I'm like, Bilbo, are you talking to me? What's good? Yeah, I'm a little soft on the belly here, but
been manscaped.
Oh wow, okay, full 4.0, back at it again. But you know how boastful Smaug is, and he's just sort of hold on a second. No. I'm armored above and below.
Yeah,
with
he gets
iron
kind of
scales.
Yes,
hard gems, baby.
This is the first time we see him get defensive.
Yeah.
Did you notice that? It's his tone kind of changes. He's like, no, you're wrong. Your information is antiquated. Just even the way he says that, no, not just no, you're wrong. Not just, it's outdated. Your information is antiquated. No blade can pierce me. It's whoa, okay, struck a nerve there, Smoggy.
Yeah, he did. He for sure did. And
doesn't he show him his belly too?
He does, but also just like you said, he gets defensive, but he also is very pleased when Bilbo compliments him. And he's like, basically when he says truly, there's no equal to Lord Smaug, so on. He's like, yes, it is rare and wonderful indeed. He said absurdly pleased. He's now pleased that Bilbo's acknowledging that he is he's all these things. And he says roll over. He rolls over and says, "Look, here's my."
And it's it's so funny that all completely shaven. I think it's hilarious too that this is his mistake. This is his mistake because he's revealing, and Bilbo is trying to get him to do this. The whole reason Bilbo went down here was to every worm has a soft spot, right?
That's right,
or a weak spot. Sorry. So this whole thing was he wasn't burglaring. He was spying. He was investigating. He was trying to see, where is this dragon's weakness? And it's Smaug who shows it to him.
Yeah.
I've just heard this. Oh, you're wrong. Okay, well, can I take a look? Oh, yeah. Hey, there's a missing scale. Awesome. Thanks. Out of here. See ya.
Right.
Essentially, that's he's gotten his information. He's gotten his inside information. That's what this is.
And this has happened to me before. People come up to me and they're like, Ez, you're ripped out of your mind. Your upper body is your delts and your bis and tris. And then they're just I'm like, oh yeah, completely all over it, right? But I've heard the underbelly's a little soft.
Completely all over.
And it's just like, excuse me.
Take a look.
Who
young
would
man?
Let me just lift up my shirt and show you my 1-pack.
And then the missing scale is just your little belly button there.
Yeah, it's like, oh, he's there. There's a spot. All right. Yeah, so Bilbo finally gets Smaug to roll over. We're looking at the, underbelly, all that good stuff, the jewels and everything. But, he did actually notice prior to this, something was there. He wanted to go back, as you said, have a look. He sees the weakness. He sees the flaw in the flawlessness, right? So,
yeah,
right? He's gone down. He's mission accomplished. So after he had seen, let me back up here. Dazzling, marvelous, perfect, flawless, staggering, exclaimed Bilbo aloud.
Yeah.
But what he thought inside was, old fool. Old fool. There's this large patch, right, in the hollow of his left breast. And it's oh, here we go. Yeah. As bare as a snail out of its shell.
Yeah.
I love that.
Again, great imagery.
Yeah.
It's on point.
You know how vulnerable a snail is outside of its shell?
I do, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, it's actually really
not
good. But don't say it. Don't say it. But
I won't say anything.
Anyways.
I have been there, though.
Yeah, I know.
Haven't you?
I think we all have.
I think so.
All right. Where
this is where he pieces out. He pieces out real quick.
Yeah, that's right. Pieces out.
Says,
that's right.
Well, I really must not detain your magnificence any longer, he said, or keep you from much needed rest. Ponies take some catching, I believe, after a long start, and so do burglars, he added as a parting shot, as he darted back and fled up the tunnel.
Mm-hmm.
Shouldn't have done it. It was an unfortunate remark, right?
Right.
Because what Smaug does is shoot some flames after him as he's
he lunges up that door, doesn't he? Almost like that little
tries to get his snout in, but I think it's just his nostrils, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
or something like that.
He burns Bilbo, actually. I mean, he singes his hairs and everything.
Yep. Never laugh at live dragons, Bilbo, you old fool, he said to himself. It became a favorite saying of his and passed into a proverb. Still say it to this day. Which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So this is the part, man. All right. This is the part that blew my mind because it goes all the way back to the beginning of this tale.
Okay.
The afternoon was turning into evening when he came out again and stumbled and fell in a faint on the doorstep. I don't know if you recall, way back in an unexpected party, literally at his doorstep, when he fell into a faint after hearing what a dragon was capable of. And here he is, back on a doorstep.
Yep.
After seeing just exactly what a dragon is capable of, almost incinerated, right? And he falls into a faint. And not out of cowardice this time. So a total 180, a parallel, but also a 180. I don't know what you want to call that.
Right.
Alternate 180 or something. I don't know. But because of heroicism, because of exhaustion. Dude, isn't that crazy?
That is crazy. That is
it's the same exact full circle.
Full circle.
Or half a circle, because it's a 180.
180, I get it.
Half circle.
We're still on the doorstep, so.
But I know that most people probably have read that and go, oh yeah, okay, that's a callback to the beginning of the book. But I read that and I was like, oh my gosh.
No, I hadn't. I mean, like,
but it's obviously the exact same predicament but because what primed it for me was reading all this stuff about, he wasn't the same Hobbit who left that Hobbit hole, hasn't had a handkerchief in quite a while, and that he's now the leader of this group. So comparing himself now to who he was, just months prior, and then seeing this, or it's he's fainting, but for different reasons, on the doorstep after having this near incineration. And it's just like, oh my gosh, man, crazy. And the dwarves reviving him this time, not out of like embarrassment, but out of like, holy cow, he's back. And they're trying to comfort him, and they're trying to tell him, hey, you're all right. It's all good.
Pat him on the back, like, wow, he's back, guys. I can't believe this. Like, wow.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, I have a question for you. So I don't know, and this is one of those, I didn't look this up beforehand. You know, sometimes Lane and I, we either, we make connections as we're just kind of reading, and we try to be organic and just make connections to the text. The thrush knocking, I mean, Smaug mentions it, the hearing and
heard
knocking.
it. Yeah, right.
He's annoyed by the bird. And now Bilbo is also annoyed by the same bird. Is there like he says, I believe he's listening, and I don't like the look of him. So as he's rolling over and coming to consciousness, he throws a stone at the bird.
Does. Yeah.
Then Thorin goes into this whole thing about like how the thrushes are good and friendly. They're very old birds. They used to communicate with them.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking ahead to Fellowship and stuff, and we don't trust all the birds out there.
Yeah, dude.
I don't know.
Crabline from Dunland. Yeah.
You know, who's this?
So what are you asking me? Are you asking me he's a culprit?
Who's this bird working for? I don't. Or is this bird to blame? I mean, was this, had he not have knocked, would we not have found the keyhole? Would it not have,
Or is this just a lesson of,
I just don't know.
over superstition, right? Of being not just a little stitious, but being superstitious, right?
Yeah.
Of going, well, this bird's just doing its thing, but I could easily blame him,
Yeah.
Or I could easily make this bird, sentient. Okay, he's this exceptional being that we used to communicate with. You could vilify, or you could, saint. Sanctify.
I just could not make thrush connect. I don't know what it was. I was trying to, and I just
don't
I
rush
hope someone,
the thrush. You know what I'm saying? Don't
Does
rush
Smaug have thrush?
Dude, I know. Oh, poor little Charlotte. Dude, Charlotte and Ruth both had thrush. Do you remember how bad Charlotte's was? She would just, we couldn't get rid of the crap.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Oh, man. It was knocking for sure. Poor thing.
Yeah,
Jeez.
so I don't know that, I think
it's bring that one up. Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Sorry, man. I just don't think it's good.
Cool.
I think we need to keep an eye on that bird.
Thrush.
Keep an eye on that bird. Okay.
Keep an eye on it. All right.
So, okay. So Bilbo told them all he could remember, right? He's confessing some of these things. He's talking. Eventually does bring up with them. He wasn't too happy about, like, he mentions barrel riders. It would make even a blind rabbit in these parts think of the lake men.
Right, yeah.
He wishes to goodness he had never said that.
He's feeling kind of silly. Yep.
Yeah, for sure. I forget what else here. Like, at one point, he and the dwarves have to talk about the returning stuff and taking stuff back. Like, Smaug did plant that seed, and he comes back out and almost kind of, talks to them about that. So I forget where that's coming up, but I don't want to miss that. He does talk about the diamond waistcoat, the bear patch, right? And the old worm's diamond waistcoat. Yep. So he does say, I've identified a weakness.
Yep.
Yeah. And this is where it's at. They're discussing dragon slayings. Yes. Historical, dubious, mythical, and various sorts of stabs and jabs and undercuts. Oh, and I wanted to mention too, that if you get a chance, and I didn't read we're not reading every line here, but like when you go back and read the conversations between Smaug, because stabs and jabs made me think back to that conversation of all the rhyming and the talking between Bilbo. It was as if one found the other speaking eloquently and making rhymes, and it said, I can play this game too.
Yes.
And it was kind of a really cool, I don't know. I know we mentioned it briefly, but I wanted to emphasize again how neat that conversation is between the two.
It's almost like an elevated conversation, like an elevated version of the conversation you had with Gollum Smeagol.
Yes,
like a more refined, a more elegant. Yeah.
Right. And inside of it, you're weaving in rhymes. Not every line, not every sentence, but you're definitely going to do it, and it sounds poetic. They both were kind of mirroring each other in style, and I was like,
yes, they were. Yeah.
What's going on here?
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. At last he interrupted them. I am sure we are very unsafe here, he says, and I don't see the point of sitting here. Now, call this luck, call it whatever. The dragon has withered all the pleasant green away, and the night has come, and it's cold. He can feel it in his bones. Smaug knows now that I came down to his hall, and you can trust him to guess where the other end of the tunnel is. So he's saying he's going to fly around here and what have you. Thankfully, they do get inside before Smaug comes. He snuck out.
Yeah. Isn't this
now
something
that's scary? Think about that. Hold on. As he's laying here unconscious, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, he's out here." Smaug is doing a slow creep to the front door.
I know. Isn't it interesting too how like this encounter with Smaug has made Bilbo more in tune with being able to predict what he's going to do than any of the dwarves, right? They're almost kind of like, no, we can't, because he's at one point he starts to beg them to go in the tunnel and shut the door. He's like, if we don't, guys, we're dead. And they're all like, no, like we can't shut this door. Like this is a bad idea. And eventually, it's the fear that scares them. Like it transfers to them. They're like, holy cow, okay, well maybe we need to listen to Bilbo here. But it reminds me of like times where because of brushes that Frodo had. Later on, like maybe this is what this evolves into, brushes that Frodo had with, putting the ring on, being stabbed by the Morgul blade, all these things that, sometimes he would sense certain things, right? That he would feel certain things that others around him did not. Yes, that others around him did not or could not. And it like his fear would have to communicate that to them. That, this is legit. I'm not just, being paranoid.
That's a good point. And you can actually sense, like, even when you and I can't explain some danger or whatever it is, if you're feeling it strongly enough, okay, something's going on. Like, you know what I mean? Like when you get like the hair rises on your arms and like, I don't feel it, but you feel it. And since it's happening to you, it's scaring me. Like, all right, let's go. I don't know.
Yep.
My buddy's acting a little weird here. Like, we should probably go inside. There's a dragon out here, friends.
Black Riders.
Yeah. So, okay. Yes, they do get inside. You're exactly right. That's a really that's what happens with Bilbo and the dwarves. They get in there. The talk now turns to the wicked words of the dwarves, or the dragon's wicked words about the dwarves. Excuse me. And finally, he's reassured. Thorin saying, "We knew it was going to be a desperate venture. We're going to help you in any way that we can to get your stuff back, to get your share back."
Reassurance,
a lot of reassurance. Believe me or not as you like. And he was reassured. It's what he said. It's what the dragon said, and I hadn't thought about it myself. And actually, can we talk about it? And so here we go. Just to kind of wrap up.
It almost kind of makes sense too. Sorry, not to interrupt.
No, you're fine.
It almost kind of makes sense too because like they haven't thought about what they were going to do when they got to this point. Mm-hmm. We see that, right? Yes. We see that that's like they weren't even banking on getting this far because they didn't have a plan for how they were going to get the treasure out, how they were going to get rid of the dragon, and it's like Bilbo who has to come up with a plan. So you think they really thought out, oh yeah, you know what? That's a lot of treasure there. And Bilbo's going to get some. We're going to have to guarantee that it can get back to the Shire, which is where we're starting from. There's no way they were thinking about it.
No.
I think Bilbo, having experienced all that, maybe that's a little more like, okay, it was dragon curse talk. It's not true at all. And we as readers can kind of go, okay, this wasn't like Thorin and company being malevolent or anything. It was just...
Also, part of this, and you have to remember too, they weren't sure if Smaug hadn't been seen in a long time.
And like you said, they weren't even sure how much of the treasure was down there still.
Yes. Yeah.
Like who knows if someone would have raided it or if it could have gotten destroyed in any or lost, I mean, treasure gets lost as well. So, yeah.
Right. And so I don't want to go over all this. There's a big paragraph about everything that's in here. 500 emeralds.
I'll get to the bottom, baby. The very last thing, the heart of the mountain.
You don't need to know any of that stuff. There's literally one thing in here, and it's not just any stone.
Yeah.
It's the Arkenstone.
The Arkenstone of the Covenant.
Stone of the Covenant. This stone is. I love what they did in the movie. It's trippy.
Oh, yeah.
It's cool.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's awesome. I love to bring it up from time to time in random conversations. Try to compare something precious when people talk about something that they value, and I was like, oh, you mean like, are we talking like what level of Arkenstone are we talking here? Like
level of Arkenstone.
Are we like how serious of an Arkenstone object is this?
The thing I love is like all these other things are quantifiable, right? There's gold you can get in quantity. There's silver you can get in quantity. All these other metals, right? But it's like even mithril. Mithril is something that correct me if I'm wrong, but the idea is that there is only one Arkenstone in existence, right? It's literally like element 115 or something, like thought to be, not even real. And then there's just this one. I mean, isn't that kind of cool to think about? That's what would drive dwarves too, right? To find something that's never been found under, like, who knows? Is there something like that on Earth? Like, is there some sort of rare, like one of a kind stones that has formed under this pressure with these weird mixtures of whatever? And it's wild to think about.
Yeah, man, this is
What are you
it's
looking
so I was looking it up. I was actually even looking up the word ark, like ark, and I think of Tolkien, and I think of the ark, and I think of like a place in which things are stored for safety. But anyways, the Arkenstone. I don't know. I was just trying to look at maybe some of its etymology and figure out if there was anything he was trying to do special with that word, or naming it that. But the Arkenstone is cool. It's a one of a kind thing. They call it the heart of a mountain, like how you think about mountains growing and being alive, and having a heart. And I'm like,
roots,
this is
right?
this
like
is
a
it.
tree.
Yeah, exactly. So I think the Arkenstone is really cool, and that's what's described. Yeah,
trees also have like heartwood. They have this. Yeah, interesting. Okay. So, interesting. Hold on a minute. So trees are sacred to elves, right? And mountains are sacred to dwarves, and very similar they are.
Yeah.
I thought that was going to be better than it was, but
it was good. Sorry, I got caught looking at the etymology. So there is a Gothic word that is erkens, and it means holy, and it's ark. It's really, it goes, you can
there you
look
go,
at ark.
holy stone.
Yeah, holy stone, precious stone, Old Norse. So yeah, really cool. Anyways, that's the stone that's described. Can you imagine being those guys who they once knew the treasure was there, they've seen it, they were around it, and they say, fellas, look, you're not going to believe this.
Yeah.
I think of the Fellowship of the Dig. I think if there was a guy who said, you could go back into history and talk to one guy who's like, oh, you wouldn't believe what's down there. And it's like, look, there's only two guys who do, and it's Rick and Marty Lagina.
Oh my God!
And so
they have to actually find something. They can't just find petrified wood.
Hey,
God!
When they pull up the Arkenstone, you're gonna eat every word you've ever said about them.
How about this? If they pull up something akin to the Arkenstone, if they actually find what they find, I will take a road trip with you
and we'll go
Oak Island. I will drive there.
I want to go so bad. All right, we'll do it.
We can go have beer.
We'll record an episode.
What's the pub they go to?
Oh, I can't remember. I've wanted to go to that pub though for sure. I've hoping to like happen across them and talk about top pocket finds.
Oh, dude, you know that Marty has to be like, or not Marty, Rick.
Oh, yeah.
He has to be the biggest Lord of the Rings fan of all time.
He is. He's a huge.
Yeah.
I think he's a big fan.
Does he talk about that? Okay, yeah.
The Fellowship. He talks about the Fellowship. He calls them the Fellowship of the Dig.
Would you want to have him on an episode?
God, yes. Are you kidding me? I love the Lagina. I hope they are listeners. What if they randomly were like listeners to our podcast? That would be insane.
Maybe I'll try to email him and see if he would be down for a...
Dude, I am such a fan of that show, and they've inspired me to just like chase your dreams and just go for it. I don't care if they
That's what's inspired you? Them?
God dang it.
Come on, don't say that, bro.
They're one of the...
Don't cheapen your bravery like that.
Right. Look, they're one of... it's just such a cool story. If you haven't seen Oak Island, you got to go watch it. I've been trying to push it on anybody I can. There's an Arkenstone down in the bottom of a place called the Money Pit.
If you say so, my friend.
I do. I believe.
Say so. I believe in Oak Island.
Yeah. Real quick, it was. Let me just read the description. So it was like a globe with 1,000 facets. It shone like silver in the firelight, like water in the sun, like snow under the stars, like rain upon the moon. I mean, it's just really cool. You know, he's really playing this up here. Yeah, it is beautiful, actually.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. So let's see what happens here next. Yeah, they're talking about all of this. Darkness is growing deeper and deeper. They're yelling, "Shut the door! Shut the door! I fear that the dragon, you know, is nearby." And sure enough, right? He was. Doesn't he come crashing down on them? Right?
Yeah,
Yeah, the rocks boomed and the walls cracked and the stones fell from the roof. Boom on their heads. Yeah.
Yep.
What would have happened if the door had still been open? I don't like to think. So moments before he makes his attack, whether call it luck, the luck bearer, whatever you want to say.
There it is.
Gets him in there, shut the door, kick the stone out.
Yep.
And saves the day there again. And they do describe Smaug had left his lair in silent stealth, quietly soared. Yeah. Every other time he's been described as like a monstrous, loud.
He's kind of pulled a Bilbo.
Yes, he did. He did actually, and that's what's kind of scary is to see a creature that big move that silently. You're like, oh, I mean, it's scary. So, anyways, and that's basically it. He's yelling out, "Barrel Rider!" He snorted. "Your feet came from the water side and up the water. You came without a doubt. I don't know your smell, but if you are not one of those men of the lake, you had their help. They shall see me and remember who the real king under the mountain is." Right?
Yeah.
Wild. And off he goes.
It is wild.
Off he goes.
Good
old Smaug.
Good old Smaug. Did you like my illustration I did? I smell fire. Did you see that?
Where's it at? Let me see.
Well, just the whole idea that like
I smell
Bilbo had the back of his head scorched and the hair was gone.
Oh my gosh, dude. Yes.
And I thought to myself, I was like, why didn't they do that in the movie?
Yeah,
probably
that's
because
hilarious.
it would have looked ridiculous. But like in reality, he would have had no hair on the back of his head and on the back of his legs and his heels.
Scorched up.
I smell fire. Ed Sheeran cover. So would you like me to read this this portion about the dragons from Tom Shippey's?
Yeah, that'd be sick.
Okay.
Yes.
Because it kind of encapsulates that entire chapter, and it will just be cool to talk about. Now, I'm going to mess up some of these words because I am not a linguist, but I'm going to get into it.
Thank God you're reading it.
There is one, and this is for anyone listening and not watching, this is from Tom Shippey's J.R. Tolkien, author of The Century. It's a fantastic book. I remember I first got this in high school when I was doing a my freshman research paper on Tolkien, and read it cover to cover. Have not read it cover to cover since, but I'm in the process of working through it now. And I was like, man, this will be great for the reunion tour for Lord of the Rings, because I'm going to read this. I think it is a great, like, honestly, companion piece to read this as you're reading the work itself is pretty awesome. So
yeah.
So what Shippey is doing is he's making all these correlations between heroic poetry and The Hobbit. Okay, so there's one final obvious use of this heroic poetry in The Hobbit. This time, one which Tolkien especially clearly. This time, which shows Tolkien especially clearly playing with anachronism, with the contrast of old and new. Bilbo's conversation with Smaug. For Tolkien's taste, there were too few dragons in ancient literature. Indeed, by his count, only 3. The Midgardsorm, or Worm of Middle-earth, which was to destroy the god Thor at Ragnarok, the Norse doomsday. The dragon which Beowulf fights and kills at the cost of his own life. And Fafnir, who is killed by the Norse hero Sigurd. The first was too enormous and mythological to appear in a story on anything like a human scale. The second had some good touches but remained speechless and without marked character, though Tolkien did take from Beowulf the idea of the thief stealing a cup and then returning eventually in a company of 13. For the most part, though, Tolkien was left with the third dragon, Fafnir. In the Eddic poem, Fafnismal, Sigurd stabs it from underneath, having dug a trench in the path down which it crawls. This is perhaps one of the stabs and jabs and undercuts which the dwarves mention while they are discussing dragon slaying's historical, dubious, and mythical in Chapter 12. I also thought of Turin.
Oh, yeah.
Because Turin, this is how Turin kills Glaurung.
Or when they think about when they're talking about the ancient slangs. But Fafnir does not die at once. Instead, for some 22 stanzas, the hero and the dragon engage in a conversation from which Tolkien took several hints. Okay, so just again, Tolkien's way of making these mythologies true, right? Yeah.
Or adding to them or alluding to them. The first is that in the Eddic poem, Sigurd, to begin with, will not give his name, but replies riddlingly, calling himself both motherless and fatherless. Tolkien entirely remotivates this, explaining this, of course, is the way to talk to dragons. No dragon can resist the fascination of riddling talk. Sigurd's motive was that Fafnir was dying, and it was the belief in old times that the word of a dying man had great power if he cursed his enemy by name. Interesting. But then the Eddic poem is, as often, a disappointment to a logical mind, for Sigurd does give his name very shortly after this, and Fafnir indeed seems to know all about him. Tolkien used the start of the conversation then and ignored its later development. He took a second hint from Fafnir's wily and successful attempt to sow discord between his killers, for Fafnir gives Sigurd unsought advice. I advise you, Sigurd, if you will take the advice and ride home from here. Regin betrayed me. He will betray you. He will be the death of both of us. In the same way, Smaug tells Bilbo to be aware or to beware of the dwarves, and Bilbo, with less reason than Sigurd, is for a moment taken in. There is a third hint after the dragon is dead, for Sigurd, tasting the dragon's blood, becomes able to understand bird speech and hears what the nuthatches are saying. That Regin does indeed mean to betray him. In The Hobbit, of course, it is the thrush who proves able to understand human speech, not the other way around, and his intervention is fatal to the dragon, not to the dwarves. One can say only that Tolkien was well aware of the one famous human-dragon conversation in ancient literature and admired the sense it creates of a cold, wily, superhuman intelligence and overwhelming personality, to use Tolkien's entirely modern terminology. I can't talk. However, as often, Tolkien took the hints, but felt he could improve on them. Isn't this crazy? Mm-hmm. I love seeing his inspiration. Is this interesting?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yes. And it totally reminded me of something I'm going to bring up. Yeah.
Okay,
Thank God you read this. I'm just like, my mind's like, wow.
Don't lose it.
Yeah.
Much of the improvement comes from a kind of anachronism, which, as so often in The Hobbit, creates two entirely different verbal styles. Smaug, again, just the way they speak, the philology. Smaug does not initially talk like Beorn or Thorin or Thranduil, the Elf King, or other characters from the heart of the heroic world. He talks like a 20th century Englishman, but one very definitely from the upper class, not the bourgeoisie at all. His main verbal characteristic is a kind of elaborate politeness, even circumlocution, of course, totally insincere, as is often the case with upper-class English, but insidious and hard to counter. You seem familiar with my name, says Smaug, with a hint of asperity. Being familiar is low-class behavior, like calling people by their first names on the first meeting. But I don't seem to remember smelling you before. Smaug could be a colonel in a railway carriage, spoken to by someone to whom he has not been properly introduced, and freezing him off with hauteur. He goes on with a characteristic mix of bluntness and the pretended deference which indicates offense. Who are you and where do you come from, may I ask? That's Shippy's emphasis. Anytime he emphasizes something, he says my emphasis. Bilbo then launches into a riddling introduction, but when Smaug talks at length again, he has become, in his turn, familiar, even colloquial. Don't talk to me. This means don't try to fool me. You'll come to a bad end if you go with such friends. Friends is entirely sarcastic. I don't mind if you go back and tell them so from me. My emphasis again. Smaug is still talking casually, but the understatement is clearly contemptuous. As he oozes confidentiality on, his speech fills up with interjections. Ha ha, bless me, and with further roundabout mock courtesy. You may, perhaps, not altogether waste your time. I don't know if it has occurred to you that this is nothing like Fafnir or Sigurd, or indeed any character from epic or saga, but it is convincingly dragonish, threatening but cold, and horribly plausible. So in the same kind of way how we talked about we don't know what it's like to face down a dragon, right? But Tolkien made it relatable to us. He has this dragon speaking in a way that's very 20th century, but still in a way that is dragonish. Isn't that amazing? Like, this is just amazing.
Yep.
This is a great taste too. If you've never read this book or you're on the fence about getting it, just Amazon, go get it. Okay, so is convincingly dragonish, threatening but cold, and horribly plausible. It's no wonder Bilbo is taken aback. However, this is not the only speech mode Smaug has available. When Bilbo finally mentions to him the heroic motive of revenge, and Bilbo throughout the conversation talks in a much more elevated style than is usual for him, Smaug replies more archaically and more heroically than anyone has done in The Hobbit so far. I have eaten his people like a wolf among sheep, and where are his sons' that dare approach me? My armor is like tenfold shields, my teeth are swords, my claws spears, the shock of my tail a thunderbolt. His language here approaches that of the Old Testament, and it is matched by the narrators in describing him. After Bilbo's first theft, when Smaug wakes and finds he has been robbed, the dwarves heard the awful rumor of his flight. Rumor here has the distinctly old-fashioned sense of far-off noise, not the weak modern one of gossip. A couple of times Tolkien uses the device of substituting adjectives for adverbs. Slow and silent he crept back to his lair, floated heavy and slow in the dark like a monstrous crow, again creating an antique effect. Isn't that incredible?
Yep.
Oh my gosh. Smaug's last boast to himself at the end of chapter 12, they shall see me and remember who is the real king under the mountain, uses the archaic third person shall of warriors' boasts in Old Norse and Old English, now condemned or marked as abnormal by modern school grammarians. Smaug, in fact, seems to have a foot or a claw in two worlds at once. And in this, at least, he is like Bilbo, the Hobbit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's
crazy.
wild. That is
How
wild.
crazy.
I am so glad you read that. I so many cool connections there. And I think when you look at Smaug's speech real quick, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, initially, as we're just running through it here, that's someone who has read it numerous times, analyzed it, stopped, and read the line. And you look at, like, because there's more there. Like, we're just getting the top layer, but there's so many other layers that's amazing. That's awesome.
And even just the way he just made drew the line there between Bilbo and Smaug, that they have their foot in two worlds, right? A more modern one and an ancient one, and how they are alike that way. It's so funny. The other character he riddles with, he's very much alike too. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Like he and Gollum. Gollum used to be a hobbit creature.
Yeah. Yep.
Right? So interesting.
And one more quick thing. I'm glad you
Yeah.
brought that up. I totally forgot about when you started speaking about like the language of birds. I was even just reading that about the Men of Dale and knowing how to speak to thrushes. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah.
So that's the whole point. I was kind of making a joke about like, do we trust the bird? Do we not trust the bird? But then thinking, oh yeah, we've way got to trust the thrush. Like, I mean, it's all hanging on this thrush getting back and telling people there's a weak spot.
True. Yeah.
And I totally forgot that he goes back and does that.
Yes, does that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, because you read
it, crazy moment. Yeah.
It's right in there, and it's actually like, why spend 2 paragraphs on that and understanding? You've got dragon speech, you've got the thrush, you've got ravens. They're understanding beast and how they talk, and it's woven in. It's actually woven in that legend of Sigurd. Is that how you say it?
I think Sigurd. Yeah.
Yeah, where in which you've got a raven and this finch that speak.
Yeah.
Really cool stuff. That's
cool stuff.
That's why
man.
I have read the first chapter about language and stuff in that book, and I need to read more. It's really good.
It's
really
too
solid.
bad that Corey Olson fired him. Like it's just really.
I
sad.
can't believe it happened too.
Yeah. Oh, Corey.
How
maybe
dare
Corey. They? Maybe Corey's working for the oneclickbait.net now. You think?
I don't know.
Wow. Dragon talk.
Oh my gosh! All right. Well, hey,
right,
I think it's Let's get into some Bywater Post.
Bywater Post, yes, sir.
There's some Bywater Post here.
You want to go first? You want me to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first. We just have Reynolds here. We've got Reynolds.
Reynolds
Right.
Cahoon.
Yeah.
That's a wild name, man.
I love it.
Love that name. Sounds like a famous baseball player.
Yeah,
Up to bat, shortstop, Reynolds Cahoon.
Yeah, I feel like I'm talking to somebody really, I mean, I think everyone's awesome and cool, but sometimes the names pop out and you're like, all right, I like that.
It's a Tolkien name. Yeah.
So here we go.
Yeah.
Hi, Ezra. Hi, Lane. I'm Reynolds. I live in the Misty Mountains of America, a fun place called Utah, and have found a recent addiction in the world of Middle Earth. I found this podcast 2 weeks ago and loved it. I think this is a few months. This might be almost a year back, I think.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Let's see. I found this podcast 2 or 3 weeks ago and loved it. Christmas, 2 or 3 back. A Christmas 2 or 3 back. My aunt gave me a small boxed set of the Lord of the Rings trilogy. I read 2 chapters and I had to put it down because I just found it difficult to read. That was very unlike me because I was and still am a bookworm. Anyway, my dad had been a fan of the movies for years previously, so last year we sat down to watch the films. I was instantly in love with it. In the last 30 minutes of the movie, my dad turned it off. Yeah, my dad turned it off and had me wait to see if Frodo destroyed the ring for another time.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, a year has gone by and we still haven't watched it together. That inspired me to read the books. Wow. Since I found this podcast, I am in the last bit of the fellowship and hoping to catch up. I am so glad to be in this club and always remember Frodo lives.
Beautiful, man.
Well, I mean, do we know? Have we seen the end? Do we know if he lives?
What if? Maybe he doesn't. Well, I mean, that's kind of, you could get meta with that. Does he really live?
Yeah, does he?
Like, truly?
Right. What is living? What's life? Yeah.
Reynolds, that is a...
What a spot to stop, though.
That's a classic dad move.
Clutch move.
Such a dad move.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to make him go read.
I appreciate that. Right.
He says, P.S. I see you finish the trilogy. Keep up the good work. We'll keep up the work. We don't know if it's good or not. You guys will have to tell us that.
Right. We're in the fellowship. Yeah. So, I just said we're in the fellowship. We're in the Hobbit. I don't know if the work's.
Wow.
I don't know if the work's good at 1:24 in the morning.
Is that what time it's? Oh my gosh. That's awesome, Reynolds. Man, Utah. I feel weird wearing this shirt with Dennis Rodman on it.
How dare you?
From Utah. Woo! Karl Malone would be pretty upset with this T-shirt.
Yeah,
it's awesome, man. Wow. Yeah, I just love everyone's story is so different. It's so cool.
Yeah.
So cool. All right, well, I got a letter. I got a letter in from not that far away, I guess, from Utah. I mean, relatively, from Arizona, Phoenix, Arizona.
All right.
From one Livy Sky Hansen. In this beautiful, I think she did this border. Like, this border is hand drawn. There's color, and there's an illustration on the second page. I was blown away by this letter, man. Dear Lane and Ezra, hey guys, my name is Livy Sky Hansen, and I'm 12 years old. I love Lord of the Rings, and really anything Tolkien. I read Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit when I was 11, and yet to read The Silmarillion. Anyway, on to my story. Last year, I'd been begging my dad to watch Lord of the Rings, and we finally did. I did not know what I was getting myself into. I, was, hooked. But my story goes even farther back. This is crazy. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
We had just went to New Zealand the year before when I knew nothing of Tolkien. Listen to this, man. We even went to Hobbiton. I was very cranky that day, too. And it is something I will always regret. Who can't relate to that, though, as a kid?
Wow. Yeah.
But, like, for me, it was Niagara Falls. It wasn't, like, Hobbiton. Like, Livy. This is crazy.
Yeah.
Now, looking back, it was an amazing experience. Also, last year in December, we went to a place in Provo, Utah called Moon's Rare Books and Antiques. I got hold of one of the One Rings they used in the movies. Let me read that again, as just in case. So we're reading about Bilbo, who has the One Ring, right? I got hold of one of the One Rings they used in the movies. Livy, we need a picture. Could you send us a picture?
Yeah, wow.
It was awesome. There is my story. Keep doing what you do. We need more podcasts like this in this world. Lots of love, Livy. Hope you read this on the podcast. P.S. My favorite character is Sam Gamgee. And look at this beautiful illustration of the bag end.
What? That
like
is
this
so
kind of stuff,
cool.
This kind of stuff.
That's going in the studio, man.
It absolutely is. And it's just so humbling and so amazing to hear from, okay, so we're like in our almost mid-30s. Someone who's 12 years old is a kid to us.
Yeah.
Like, to hear from kids, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's like we talked about when we had that renewed sense of passion. Remember Isaac getting a hold of us?
Yes.
And just you hear from kids and you think, wow, like there are kids listening to us. There are kids who, like, I was 12. I was 11 or 12.
I was about to say, yeah.
When I discovered Lord of the Rings. So I remember that age. I remember, you're not quite a teenager, but you're almost there. Mm-hmm. You're looking for direction. You're looking for good examples. And you stumble into Middle-earth and you couldn't find a better place to stumble in that, that developmental coming of age time. So anyway, that was beautiful. Such gorgeous handwriting. Yes.
Yeah. That looks beautiful.
Absolutely.
And the thing
honored
is,
by that, Livy. Thank you.
I remember too, it's so cool, and I hope more kids, or I hope anyone really, but I think everyone gets encouraged to hear youngsters kind of share that they're getting into this fandom or that they've discovered it, and because it's new to them, and then they're wading through it, and then they're asking their parents and their friends, have you guys heard about this? Like, this is like, I love when that happens. It's happened to me as a high school teacher when I've seen a kid walking around with The Hobbit, and I'm like, that kid did not once know that, like, they didn't see the movies, they didn't watch it. Now it's in their hand, in their backpack, and I'm asking them, what are you thinking so far? And they're like, I love it. It's awesome. Why are you asking about The Hobbit? Oh, no big deal. Like I love it too. Cool. Glad you're liking it. Like it's just awesome. Yeah. You're,
And then they go to watch the movie and their dad turns it off with 30 minutes left.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Reynolds, man. Wow.
Jeez.
Beautiful. As always, our favorite part of every episode, getting to hear your stories, the living story, right? This is we're reading through a book that has been written, and though it changes because we change, it's done, right? It's been accomplished. But the stories we get to read that are like your own personal stories, they're alive, man. Mm-hmm. They're alive, and there's something special about that. All right, Riddles in the Dark, as there it is. Take a look.
I see the image. I see the image.
Yeah, what is it? This week's riddle is a picture, and I'm just gonna see if Ed can figure it out.
It's Morgan Freeman.
Yeah.
Guys, the doc. Sometimes you just have to see. Maybe we'll post this on social media.
I think this is the best doc I've ever created.
Did
you catch that Dennis Rodman stuff up there too?
Yes, I did. I did.
I mean, I drew a picture.
You got illustrations
Bilbo's
in
scorched
here?
back of his head. I found great illustrations. So this was on a Reddit thread.
Yeah.
This was someone just had this picture, and they just posted, "My friend thought that Morgan Freeman played Bilbo Baggins." Because if you think about it, Morgan Freeman and Martin Freeman,
I know, yeah.
they sound exactly the same. And Morgan Freeman was more famous, and probably still is more famous than Martin Freeman.
Oh, yeah.
So some dude was talking to his friend. He was like, yeah, Morgan Freeman plays Bilbo.
I mean,
and just the thought of Morgan Freeman as Bilbo is amazing. Can you imagine? He could have just talked to Smaug, and Smaug would have been like, can you keep narrating? I mean, take it all. Take it all.
I hate to admit this, but the guy who posted that was my buddy Matt.
Yeah, sure.
And he said, because dude, I'm the guy who would make that mistake. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm the guy who had been like, oh wait,
Morgan Freeman.
The names are so close for me. Tapestry. I would
all
be
just blends together. Yeah,
I'd be all over the place. So
yeah, you would be. All right, my friend. How can people share the load? What can they do to become a
luck bearer? Maybe
luck bearer,
a ring bearer,
ring rider.
To share the load, friends, is share the load, right? Help us out a bit here. Really, one cool thing is we've said this now, which is I want to mention this at the end of this episode. Fansided, thanks to Fansided and Minute Media and just working in that group with Patrick and Gary, we figured out the ads. I finally got some of that worked out. So if you guys hear automated ads, not the ones that Lane and I read, but those, like for us, we kind of felt like better way to monetize a podcast is just throw a pre-roll, post-roll ad, and the mid-roll ad, and roll with that, and then have fun with the kind of Manscaped thing. So you're supporting the podcast just by listening to those, and if you're interested in the thing that we're pitching or whatever the product might be, or you want to buy one for Christmas or whatever, go do it and use our code, and that does support the podcast. The reviews on iTunes, fantastic. That always helps. Sending us your Bywater Post, your Tolkien story, getting that in is always great. We've got tons of those. Following us on social media is amazing. And then Patreon now, guys, we've shifted it to just one tier. It is so refreshing.
The response has been amazing.
It's awesome. We have so many people bouncing in there. I literally can't say thank you enough to everybody who went and said, honestly, I mean, if you've wanted to participate in that, but you've been like, it's too confusing, it's too whatever, I don't know which tier to be in. No, it's just one tier. Just get in there. We're not changing that. It's the fellowship, friends. You're all in the fellowship. And really, even if you're not on Patreon, you're still a member of the fellowship, friends. If you listen and you support the podcast and you want to be, we got 12-year-olds writing in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, come on. Yeah. It's amazing. I'm having such a good time. And I can't wait for the show to come out. We got some good stuff happening. We have a lot of fun stuff over there on Patreon that you guys can go check out for $5 a month. And
just backlogged. Oh my!
I've been listening to the backlog, and I am literally blown away by it. You wouldn't believe what you'll find on there. And we did do an extended edition, which just posted last week, and we'll do another one coming up here probably at the end of this month or into next month. So good stuff. So there it is. Share the load. Put Lane
time
to bed.
for. Jeez, man, I am tired. Time for fortnight farewells, or maybe even weekly well wishes. I don't know. The way we're breaking these episodes up is pretty cool. Yeah. We want to thank you for getting out of a sticky situation and learning some super inside information. And we're not just talking about Ezra's manscaping routine. We're talking about a missing shale. You know what I thought about when I'm thinking about this scale that's missing? I think of Kyle.
Oh,
is it the shales? Is it the shales?
Oh my God! With the reptiles.
Yeah. Welcome to the reptile convention. Oh my gosh, dude! If you don't know, guys, again, I'm gonna promote this. Someone's gonna get mad. I don't give a crap. Kyle Mooney, who's an SNL cast member,
famous SNL cast member,
famous guy, dude. Started by just putting YouTube videos up.
Silly
go look up
silly,
the Kyle interviews. You will not be disappointed. You're gonna wish
awkward
there were more
as
of
all
them.
Get out.
So beautiful. Oh my God! Is it the shales? The shales? Is he Craney or is he Boulder? So yeah. Anyway, next time, we'll be at home, but Kurt Jones will not be at home.
Right.
Not at home. We will make him feel at home, but he will not at home be.
Right.
In chapter 12. And gosh, I can't wait to see him. I might have to run my greasy fingers through his beautiful hair.
Hey.
What a head of hair, man. If you grew your hair out, it'd be the same deal.
Friends,
his
actually,
hair is gorgeous.
Stay tuned for the episode. I actually told, again, you know who, that you've never heard a guy like this on the mic. Wait till you hear Kurt Jones.
Oh, his voice. Oh, good Lord.
I've never seen a man more professional on a mic. And I've been staring at the guy across from me for a long time, but
Oh, is that a compliment or a slam?
I put you second behind Kurt.
even his the way he would position his mouth on the mic.
I'm telling you, man, it was a lean in. It was I can't wait. I can't wait to.
And his voice, that little. There's just a little
wealth of knowledge too.
Yeah, he is. And there's that little tint of Tennessee twang. It's buried deep.
But it's also there's also an elvish nature to it. I don't understand it.
There is. He is Faramir,
yeah. Something he's far-seeing. All right.
Yeah. But anyway, he'll be here.
Yeah.
It'll be fantastic.
All right. So stay tuned for that. In the meantime, if you like the podcast, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. We need that. Like the podcast. Subscribe over on YouTube. We're trying to grow the YouTube over there. Go do that.
Yeah.
Write those reviews. Leave a comment or send us a Shadowfax.
We'll see you next time. And remember, Bilbo knows.